Paano yung pag-ising niya kung paano yung ano?
Pero magawa pa lang para siguro.
Paano yung ano, ganyan. Yan mga kapo yan.
Sinapuso.
Kala mo bata pa eh.
Magawa pa lang para siguro.
Kaya nga nakapantay ako na ano?
Hindi naman.
Hindi naman lang, nakatular lang. Ha? Sinabi di ba pular? Hindi ka? Hindi ba?
Sabi ba?
Sunod. Pular nga. Pular. Tapos Rodan.
Easy.
Wala nga eh. Laro na nga. Basta laro na walang bayan. Sunod talaga yung lahat ng mga pagpapakita na yun.
It is, mate, it is. Hey? You again? When it breaks, eh? Alright.
Does it come with or without marijuana?
The hungry man's option. Okay, Waddy, testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Tight. That's what the girl says, mate. Too.
That's what I figured.
Mind you, no girls in Hornby would ever say that.
Clear, Leslie and Aileen.
Oh, right. I'm playing for the Tigers, so you notice that? For who? Hornby Tigers.
Oh, you're the other
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm away from the microphone. Just ordinary speaking volume.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, all good, mate.
6:30, I think. What is the time? 6:30. Very soon then, I guess.
Oh, yeah. So you get a good time to play it.
Comedy shows.
Oh, so it's for the fun.
First time, the actual time.
Oh, go into the room.
Last one, she's
So that was streaming live there.
no, I think I've got it sorted though, just setting up all the booth and stuff down there. I don't really know, just leaving it to it.
Oh, right, so they can commentate that because it's right.
Yeah. Just setting up a little booth around the desk down there.
Malalay lang. Nagkasamba tayo, bumili ng iwan. Baka yung bumili ng iwan.
Oh, it'd be worth it. The only thing would be just if there's there could be a wee delay on it.
Fucked it up again, another game. Rusty, man. Bit rusty.
The link should be on the
Brain.
full Cameraman page on Facebook.
I think same old, same up there. Yeah, fuck, when did that happen?
Oh, look at that.
And the right side to be on the 16th.
Exciting stuff.
The other side would have been on the
Oh, damn, man.
Bloody
It's not showing off.
Yeah, no man's land. We'll have the hole for me so I can get on the line.
It's not bad.
Not bad for you, fella. Well, then he tried to keep it out.
Nothing so far. I guess you can have that one, Brent. Would be a bit rude for me to take two, wouldn't it?
So we're back to one on the spot again, eh?
9.
9.
Good.
Yeah.
It's been ripping me off. No wonder I've been fucking.
That's only BCA. Yeah, just got a bit much on. Trying to get away from most of the weekly all nights this year. Probably just we can choose weekend tournaments a bit more this time round.
Mate, yourself? I got 2 reasons to do that. I got a cortisone injection in the knuckle, arthritis in there. And the last time I did it was about, I don't know, nearly a year ago. About a month after I did it, some bloke shook my hand and squeezed the fuck out of it. Ruined it all.
Yeah, give you the shit, those guys.
Yeah.
Trying to tell you where they shake your head.
It might have even been in, actually. Somebody did that, squeezed the fuck out of it. So now I'm trying to stay away from shaking hands all good. Obviously, I lost the whole game.
Good stuff.
Really right game to lose.
We're set to go now? Sort of.
I could have lost the win before.
Yeah, no, I heard about that. So,
Now we have a tough spot at the table.
We should sell the cars.
So what's the go? Where are we at this Morrison card? Not one of those ones.
Three.
That's not fair.
Yep.
Crappy fucking.
Oh, the light had been turned down, had it?
Yeah, I turned it off.
Is that about where we had it before?
Yep, anywhere around there.
So it's going now, John. So will there be a little delay from the shots, people watching?
As long as you commentate on that screen. You commentate.
Just commentate now, just say what he's doing.
Right, apologies all, we seem to have had some difficulties. Brent, oh by the way, at the table on the 8, won't go past the 9, but it will cut into the opposite corner pocket. And yes indeed, now where's this going to finish up for the 9? Pretty much bang on. Should be a straight poke into the middle from here. And that it is, and Brent Ogg takes the first frame.
Yeah. He's only practicing.
dare I say that he's only having a practice. I got excited there, I thought he was actually playing, so
I messaged me through your order.
my mistake. Probably a good thing in that case, because that would allow me to warm into this. For those of you who are watching, welcome to the inaugural Kevlar Homes, or Kevlar Homes should I say, sorry, KiwiPino Cup. This is to be played over 3 nights between 2 teams of 7 players each. Players at the moment are just having a practice. We will get into the meat and drink fairly soon. One of those 2 teams comprised of Kiwi-born players, the other made up of players born in the Philippines but who have now decided to call New Zealand home, and we are all the more grateful for it. You will see some wildly contrasting styles of pool and wildly contrasting styles of stroke play. You'd think the Filipinos tend to be free and easy with the way they play. If you've watched any of the Filipino masters play, then you'll know this. There don't seem to be any rules the way they play in terms of how they go about playing. But everything just looks so rhythmical and they're absolutely beautiful to watch. New Zealand players perhaps a little more ordered in the way they approach the game, but ordered of course can bring about a great result if you can harness that. So one thing to note is that for those of you who are not used to a 9-ball table, the balls are of slightly different colours. The 5 is still orange, but that would be the 6 in green and 7 in a sort of teal green colour. That's the ball near the middle pocket. So those are although the 6 and 7 tend to be the balls that people get confused over because of the fact that the 7 is usually a maroon in colour, but that's you for 7-foot tables, not 9-footers. I believe, although I'm not 100% sure, that they are using Aramith Pro balls. Paul, they're going for one or the other, getting neither, and getting half a snooker. It looks like Brent can see enough of the 5 to play it. Now I'm sat downstairs and the players are upstairs, so unless I yell really loudly or they've got very good hearing or a combination of the two, they shouldn't be able to hear me. Now, I am set a fair way away from the microphone as well because this thing picks up really well. So, any of you who are watching, and I see that there are 6 of you watching, please write in the chat, let me know if I'm too loud or if the background music is too loud or anything else is not to your liking, or better yet, if everything's to your liking, that'd be sweet. Words are currency in an on-stream. It's pulled up a little bit short of where Paul wanted to, but it's still well cuttable. Shouldn't have any issues with the in-off, just cut it in. This is true, so Paul takes that practice frame.
Yeah, man. Why not?
So easy.
Is it a good night for it?
Good night for the ass kicker. It's time to kick ass or chew gum. Or I'm out of gum.
Not out of gums, but out of gum. Gum too?
Somehow has decided to stay in the pocket. Don't believe Paul can see this, so he's going to have to, first of all he's going to have to remove the rack, because we do use in this game a variant of the shark rack. You might have seen it on the 7-foot tables. You use it for the 15 balls. This is a modified version for 9 ball. Now this 3 is far too close to the pocket to attempt a jump shot, so you either have to play a swerve and just play it subtly to go between the 9 and the 4 and then snap back into pot 3, which it looks like he's attempting now. Just needs just a wee jack up on the cue and couldn't get the swerve he wanted, so be a ball in hand to Brent. Because it is one thing to jack up on the ball in order to attempt that swerve, but it is entirely another thing to get it to swerve as sharply as you want to and when you want to. It is one of those shots that does require a bit of practice, especially if you are playing 9 ball and you aren't used to being snookered, perhaps because you've been playing a different cue sport. It's a shot that does come into your arsenal because players of course are able to snooker in this game. Given that a fair wallop with a bit of running side, and he's ended up pretty much bang on for the 8 here. Just pop this and go off the rail and perhaps under-hit that a touch. He would have wanted the 9 in the same pocket. He's either got a bank or a cut. He's gone for the bank and he's not far away, but this is going to end up perfectly for Paul.
He hates these shots. Yep.
This to take the frame. Duly disposes of it.
What's that? Looks like all the players.
My name, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm John the Voice on the Cock. I will reintroduce myself when the actual games get started. As you first look at Greg Croudis, aka Crowdo, taking a few strokes before he gets into his game. Greg Croudis has actually made a decent fist of playing on these tables. He plays on these a damn sight more than on the 7-footers. Oh yeah, I'll just turn the disc mic off. I'll just call you in first, quickly.
Volume we got on there. Maybe turn it up a bit more. And you get running upstairs if it's too long. It's too loud. Yeah.
So making his way upstairs for the player introductions and to tell us what this is all about is Graham Watty Watson. Take it away. In a couple of seconds.
We think this mic's working well, yeah?
Yep, pretty confident.
Kamusta, hello. Welcome, cast of thousands out there, millions of people watching around the world, early in the morning, late at night, middle of the afternoon. Everyone in the Philippines is watching, Kamusta. Everyone in Auckland, the whole 1.5 million of you should be watching, because what else would you be doing? But it's a great privilege to host this event down here, the KiwiPino Cup. We've talked about this for a lot of years with the Philippine boys and their wonderful ladies and their children about having an event between the Philippine players that love 9-ball, or I think it'd almost be the national sport. It's certainly not rugby. So look, we're really looking forward to this. We've come up with a bit of a format. It's kind of similar to Moscone Cup, and I think the quality of pool will be far better. But anyway, we're going to give this a go, and we'll see how it goes, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. It is about winning. Every one of these guys, they play to win, but it's also about promoting 9-ball and the Paul Canterbury Club and the fellowship between the different communities that play 9-ball in New Zealand. Christchurch, you know, we've had our issues down here with rooms and all sorts of things. So look, it's a great privilege to get this underway. Sorry, we're a little bit late running tonight, but we're going to get into it, and we're starting off with Scotch triples. Let's race to 5. So, from the Pino side, we have John Carreon, and Captain, come on over.
Captain Carreon.
Hey, Captain Carreon.
Father Carreon. And Darwin Dulay.
Darwin Dulay from Pangasinan.
Where is he? He's creeping up behind me. Welcome.
Pangasinan.
Lost my shoe. And
The
grandfather, Norman Dacca. Bata.
Efren Bata in Christchurch.
And from the Kiwi side, we have Brent Og. Greg Croudis. And Mr. Paul Blackler. The Revo. So a lag for break, and go get it, gentlemen, and have some fun, play some good pool, and the audience out there, get behind it, share, like, get it out there, and we'll keep doing these events. Thank you very much. Good luck, guys.
Cheers.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Graham Watson. Just to introduce what this is all about. It's a 7-player team, or rather 2 7-player teams playing each other over 3 exciting nights of pool. One team comprised of Kiwi-born players and the other of players born in the Philippines who have now decided to call New Zealand home, and we're all that much more grateful for that being the case. Just getting a few things written down in front of me at the moment so I can follow it. This first match, as you would have heard, Scotch triples played exactly the same way as Scotch pairs, except with an extra player on each team. The lag for the break is a universal way of conducting business, or deciding who gets to conduct their business first in this sport. closest to the bolt cushion is Brent Og, so the Kiwis will break. These matches are all a race to 5, so it does not matter what the format is. We've got Scotch triples at the moment, but there will be 2 matches of singles coming in after this. Those will also be a race to 5. So Brent Og, then followed by Paul Blackler and Greg Croudis. And if and when the Pinoy boys get a hit in this particular frame, Carreon will be first, then Norman Dacca, and then Darwin Dulay. So the break is successful from Brent. 2 off the break, and a little unfortunate that the 1 is blocked by the 8 ball. We are fortunate enough to have a stalwart of Canterbury 9 ball and in fact Canterbury Pole and Eddie format. In fact, I'm an idiot, that was not the 1. Well, that is the 1, it is blocked, but it is 2 that was played. No, that's the 9, sorry, it's the lighting, I'll blame that. Mike Hayes, the longest introduction ever.
You kind of started the intro, got sidetracked by the details of the match, but we got there eventually, John. Cheers for the welcome. It's always a pleasure to join you on the commentary, and yeah, good fun to be checking out this new event we're doing with Paul Canterbury. I've been getting into the 9-ball scene myself over the last couple of years, and on the Paul Canterbury committee. So yeah, I mean, what he said in his intro, that we've been a wee bit of a tough time getting things back established down here, but yeah, starting to get some events going, which is really exciting. So looking forward to checking out the action.
Darwin just sliding that in nicely for Norman, who picks up the rear. I do like the idea of having Scotch play. I know we've banged on about it in the 7-foot game, but it just works so well here, doesn't it?
Oh, I definitely think so. I think the 9-foot tables in general, I guess, just from a spectating point of view, there's often just a little bit more action and faster pace of play compared to some of the 7-foot stuff, and I think, therefore, just because there's a little bit more fluidity to the game, it does lend itself to the Scotch pairs working a little bit better. You can get a little bit more momentum between the pairs in terms of running out. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the guys go with the triples equivalent.
Oh,
I think Brent was looking for the safety there, looking to set the 5 back to the top rail and cover it, but unfortunately he's dropped it and snookered his partner on the 6. So I don't think Paul will be too happy with Brent there.
I actually don't think he'd be too unhappy, because he knew exactly what Brent was trying to do. It's not like he tried to leave him snookered. Just for those of you at home, the 7 ball is the ball closest to the cue ball, and the 6 is the ball just down the rail. That's the green coloured ball. Can be a bit confusing for those who aren't used to seeing the balls a slightly different colour. But the 7 is usually maroon, but on these tables it's a tealish green colour. Is that what you'd call it?
It is, and I know I've learned that confusion the hard way. I think when I'd only been playing for a month or two and played in a 9-ball tournament, my first one, and I think it was in the semi-final with Brent at around about 2-all. I just flat out mixed up the 7 and 6, so I potted I stuck the 5, set myself for the 7, potted that, and Brent kindly pointed out to me that was the 7, not the 6, and that cost me the frame and pretty well the match from there. So that was it was a good hard way to learn the lesson, but I can guarantee you I have not made that mistake again since.
That's sometimes the best way to learn, isn't it? Is
unfortunately.
Let the person make the mistake, and then call them on it, and that way they know not to do it again. Because sometimes you can get into the habit of telling a person just before they're about to do something wrong, you should be focusing on this ball, but actually to let them do it and then let them lose the frame and know what it feels like to actually learn.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's the best way to learn. So looks like a good chance here for Jim to take out the first frame. Yeah, there we have it, 1-0. to the Filipino boys. But unlucky for Paul, he only just missed the 6 when he was trying to get out of that snooker. But unfortunately, with the ball in hand, the guys are always likely to run out from there and have taken the 1-0 lead.
Especially when the balls are all in the same half of the table. If you're having to go cross country or downtown for something, then there is more room for error. But when they're all in that same half of the table, it's pretty much basic, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I mean, just in general in this game, John, you know, just with there being so much more room and so many less balls on the table, that, you know, if things are all in the open, there's no bunches. If you're playing against quality opponents, then yeah, the reality is you're going to expect them to clear if you give them a sniff. So it's very important that if you're not backing yourself to make the finish yourself, that you make sure that you don't leave your opponent a look.
You got to stay in order, don't you?
You guys going to go back to the same order?
I got it in order.
Yeah, I think you'll reset everything.
I think there's a bit of confusion over who breaks. Which one of the 3 players breaks? Does it go on the previous frame, like who played the last shot in the previous frame, and then the next person in line to play had the frame gone on?
I
Does
think
he break?
any time I've played Scotch pairs or more, it's always just a new frame as a reset. You can start whoever first. So I would be expecting that they can choose whoever they want to break here. I don't think it should have to follow the order from the previous frame. I believe that's how most Scotch pairs tournaments work.
Well, it's definitely how regular pair tournaments work. It's like a guy just clears a frame on you, and then it's his break again, and you get to watch him do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't do that in this.
Where's
Of course.
the-
Oh, what? Get out of it, the 8 ball. It's like it's shepherded into the pocket. It just needed to touch the 8 and it would have been fine, but the 8 just played a game of snake with it.
Yeah, and so a good chance for the Kiwi boys to get back into the match here. Everything in the open, so just you know, it's obviously easier said than done, but if they can keep that cue ball under control, then a good chance to try and level the match here.
I think of interest here will be getting from the 2 to the 3. He's just off angle on the 2. It looks like he might have left it a touch straight, but Paul, if he's got enough and he can put enough left on this, he can take that rail and just spit back out. There you go, that's actually not too bad.
A little bit short, but I think Greg should be able to play a slow drag on this one, just to pull the white over towards the opposite rail for the 4. And if anything, you don't really want to be dead straight on the 4, so this bit of angle is going to sort of ensure that he hits that rail and comes back out with a bit of angle.
Well played. And the angle too, and this is almost guaranteed to go across the table. As long as he doesn't hit 6 or going off, he should be fine here, because the natural pace this is played at, it should just go over there without him having to do too much to it. There you go.
Nice, and he's played a gentle draw on it just to make sure that the white doesn't contact any of those other balls, just for safety. So another key shot here, getting from the 5 to the 6. Looks like he should be just straight enough if he can just play that through with a little bit of top left that should just sort of come back a little bit straighter off that top rail and leave a nice 6 to the middle.
Bit of suicide, as Danny Hernia would call it.
It's always risky, but
It needs to keep running.
what was it got there? That is tight. Can't quite tell from here.
Greg will tell you.
Must be
No,
on,
he's
yeah.
alright. You can always tell by how quickly the players get down to the ball as to whether it's actually on or not. So Greg obviously was comfortable that was on, and he just got down and started cueing it straight away.
Just let that go a little bit though. I think if he could have taken it again, he probably would want to be just the other side of straight. He's made this shot a lot tougher than it needs to be. As we see, he's forced Brent to play through with top, whereas if it'd been just the other side of straight, he could have just played a gentle sort of stun and draw back. But still very makeable here. I don't think he needs to do too much more than just focus on the pot, and the white should naturally drift down to leave a shot on the 9, so just got to get this 8 in really. He's hit it a bit hard.
Well, that's
Gonna
going
get
to be
second prize, he's
okay.
going to get it back to the centre.
There's always another pocket somewhere. And the beauty of 9-ball is that there's nothing else in the way.
Absolutely, he's got a clear shot, although these pointy middle jaws, it's It's never the shot you'd like to have at the end, but no.
Drilled it.
Should work well. Nice clearance from the Kiwi boys to level the match at 1 each. Good comeback.
Was indeed, Mike.
As fast as I could cook it, John.
So we've just got Waddy on dinner orders there. He's just helping out John get his burger. So sorry if we're just a little bit distracted. There's a bit of background chatter there. Got to look after the commentators though. Got to make sure they're well fed.
Oh yeah. Well, I had to boot scoot it here from work, so I never actually got a chance to eat. Had I left earlier, or had I been allowed to leave earlier, I would have gotten something to eat myself, but was not to be.
It's a common theme in my life as well, John, of work getting in the way of my pool.
Or eating. Well, eating is not exactly secondary to pole, is it?
Sometimes.
That sounds a bit like, I'm just trying to think of his name now. He used to be an American football coach. Was regarded as one of the best, and Vince Lombardi, there you go. I remember one of his quotes was that winning is not as important as breathing. I'm very disappointed with that attitude. It's much, much more important. I think I've just butchered that, but to paraphrase, it's pretty much what he said. All there looking for a snooker while I was waffling on and not quite getting it.
Not the worst leave in the world. I mean, this is going to take a good pot on the one. It'll be interesting to see whether he takes it on or whether he looks to send the one up and down the table and maybe try and keep that white behind the three. We'll find out.
There's one thing that these Filipino boys are so good at. That needs to slow down. But there's one thing these Filipino boys are so good at is finding snookers out of seemingly nowhere.
Absolutely, and I think it's definitely something I've gained a lot more appreciation for over the last couple of years of starting to play this game more and more, is that you start realising that the safety side of the game is often almost more important than the potting and the cue ball control, because if you're playing against a good player and if the table's not there to clear for yourself, then you've just got to keep things tight, and it's getting those snookers and then getting perhaps a ball in hand off your opponent. That's often what can give you the opportunity to open up the tricky balls and win the frame. So yeah, as you say, getting the snookers right is a seriously important part of this game.
There's parallels between this game and either black ball or two shot, isn't there? To be able to go to your plan B just in case the plan A is either not working or is taken away from you.
Oh, absolutely, and I often sort of liken the tactical battles. It's a bit like snooker as well, and often in snooker, we see these exchanges early on in the frame where they're just sort of clipping off the edge of the reds and then sending the white back down to bolt, keeping things tight and really making the opponent sort of earn that opportunity to sort of get the first real crack at the frame. And it's kind of what we're seeing here now, is that each team is just sort of biding their time with a wee bit of patience, because while there has been a couple of half chances of pots they can take on, they don't quite want to run the risk of missing and leaving an easy start to their opponent. But I'm not sure if he might go for this one. He's made it. Good kick on the 4.
Needed to stop. That'll still drop down the rail though. It's not an easy shot, but makeable, and with a bit of check, you should be able to get onto the 3, right?
Yeah, only just a tiny little bit. Mainly probably just run that through with top, a little bit of right hand side, and that should just run out just past the 4 for the 3 back to the same corner.
He's chunked that horribly, hasn't he? Didn't get the luck behind the 8 either, so this is wide open for the Filipinos. Will be Darwin to take first dig at this. By the way, if I sound like I don't know an awful lot about this game, it's because this is not the style of game I'm used to commentating on. Most of mine is just point and click, so what I see I comment on, and obviously Mike, having played this game a lot more than I have, will know a lot more about it, so If I do miss stuff, then that'll be why, and please be patient.
I'm still in a similar boat myself, John, where I'm still learning the game as well, you know. It's as much as I've been playing Q Sports a long time, we both have. It's only been a couple of years at this for myself, and it's a bad miss from Norman, but you can almost go back to that first shot on the 2, you know, and while he still made the 2 and left a reasonable angle on the 3, I just think he just didn't quite get into the bottom quite enough, and just let the white slide a bit more, and again it just shows that the cue ball position in this sort of game is critical, just to make sure that you can string the run out together.
Well, the one saving grace for Norman is that he's left us on the rail, close enough to the rail so that Greg has to do something special to it. Because there's an off waiting for him in the other pocket if he can't do anything to this. What do you reckon? Was that top left and hard?
Yeah, I wonder if he almost just tried to sort of punch into it a little bit just to get the white ball to come back a little bit on contact. It's a wee bit hard to tell from the angle we've got here, and it's a tough shot he's left, Brent, but if he can make this one, they'll be fancying their chances from there.
Well, they straighten up off the rails big time here, don't they? That needs to
fall.
fall.
What a leave as well, jeez, he's gotten away with that one.
Well, what a leave in either event. If that had fallen, then Paul would have been saying, thanks, Brent. But as it is, he's saying, thanks, Brent, you haven't left Jun on anything.
I think, John, you'll probably fancy his chances of going up and down and hitting that 4. I think if you're just kind of running straight past the 9, and you know, you just got to get your weight right really to get the right angle back onto the 4. He'll just be trying to get that weight right so that he's hopefully got a shot on the 5 next. And be careful not to end up following it in if he's unlucky, but I think just getting down there and hitting the 4 will be number 1 priority.
You'd go for the 4 off the side rail, wouldn't you? Top rail, then side rail to avoid the in-off, right?
I think so, yes.
And then that would naturally kick the 5 towards the other corner pocket, so that you don't have to worry so much about pos on the 5. Here we go, side rail, but it's the 5 first, so will be a ball in hand. You could see that little motion that he made just as he walked away from the table, miming picking the ball up. That's the universal sign in 9-ball for I've just fouled, it's a ball in hand.
He wasn't far off though, it's fine margins.
Yeah, on a 9-foot table with bigger balls and bigger everything, the margins are still pretty thin. He needed more of the rail there, didn't he? That's a little bit lazy.
I don't know about that one. Hopefully it's just enough angle that if Greg can kind of miss that corner on the left side, the white should track out back to the centre of the table quite nicely. Yeah, Greg's played that nice.
Keep going, that's just about right.
Yeah, good recovery shot from Greg.
You'd always take the rail here, wouldn't you? Would you stun this in, or would you just make sure you got the rail?
Oh, I'll probably just run the white into the rail, pop out. I think Brent's tried to go over the other side, equally effective.
Bit of risk involved, but if you get it right, what a waste.
Just trying to improve that angle ever so slightly, and ultimately at the end of the day, you've kind of got to remember as well that, you know, with the pocket's been a bit more generous, that, you know, there's a lot to be said for just giving yourself that look on the 9. I don't like to overcomplicate that last shot.
Hello.
Wow. Ball's just choked on one there.
Yeah, he didn't look comfortable with that. You could tell he took a couple of extra feathers. Would have been worth his while to just get up and recalibrate and get back down onto that, rather than accepting it and feathering it a couple more times before he hit it. They don't get much easier than that either if you're going to leave it. It's one thing I've always said to people on commentary or otherwise: if you don't like it, don't play it. Obviously with that shot you've got to pot it, but if you're not confident when you get down on it, then you need to just get up and take an extra second to look at it again, and then get down and cue it with authority.
It's a tough skill though, John. It takes a lot of discipline to actually execute that when you're sort of in the heat of the match and in the moment. It's I mean, definitely it's something we're all aware of, but I know it's something I've definitely been caught out myself from time to time as well. When you're down that shot and you feel like you're not 100%, but you think, oh, it's an easy shot, I'll make it anyway.
I'll still pot it.
And then next thing it's drawing, so definitely definitely good if you can sort of have the composure to recognise, no, it's a key ball, get back up, give the cue an extra chalk, go through the routine and put the shot away.
Maybe a 5-minute break, try and get back.
Right, so we've got Norman to break here in the 4th frame, 2-1 lead to the Filipinos.
Interesting where he's breaking from. It's unusual to see a player break from somewhere near the middle of that bulk. Most players break off to the side, or if there is a break box, then you will see them go as far wide as they can on that box, not sort of in the middle like Norman did, but it's effective all the same.
Yeah, it's interesting because from what I've seen, definitely the break to go to is from the side, looking to catch the central ball slightly off centre, potting the wing ball, perhaps giving yourself a look on the one next. But the only time I have seen some guys going to the break with the cue ball up the centre is when they're actually looking to get the 9 travelling. I think the theory is if you can attack the break from quite central, you can get the back ball of the diamond hitting the back rail coming back into the pack, which might contact the 9 and get it travelling, but it's a pretty low percentage option, so you're right, we don't normally see guys breaking from there.
Yeah, John's gotten a bit lucky with this. He's missed the pot. You can see the one there just near that corner pocket top left, but Brent can't actually see enough of it at least to pot it. So the 8's actually come as saviour there. So you reckon he'll try to get it right in behind it, boot it out, and hope it doesn't hit the 8 and get a snooker that way? See if you can leave the white roughly where the 1 is?
Yeah, because I was wondering at first if we might try and go off the face of it and send the white over to the opposite corner, but I suspect that he'll double kiss if he tries to go off the face. So the other option is going off this left-hand rail, almost getting up with a bit of swerve to get it arcing around the black, off the cushion,
off the rail,
sliding into the 1.
Like that.
Just like that.
I love those shots.
I tell you, Brent, of all the guys I play with down here, Brent has got shots up his sleeve. There's no two ways about it. Numerous times I've seen him making jumps, kicks, banks to win critical frames at
You'd
critical
think he was
points.
half Filipino, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would, but so it's definitely if there's ever a situation where a jump or a bank or a kick is required, Brent's at the table. I always fancy his chances.
It's a skill, isn't it? And you have to actually practice those, don't you? You don't just rock up in a tournament, get left with a shot like that, decide, oh, I'm going to swerve this.
Absolutely, it comes from hours of practice, no two ways about it.
That's the 3 near the 4 there. That's pretty good. It's about as good as he could get it, really. I'm assuming that's the 3. I know that the 5 kind of has a similar look to it, doesn't it?
I wondered if that was the 5 actually. I wondered if Greg was just trying to get back towards the middle of the table so that Paul could bank the 4. I feel like if that was the 3, he'd be lining it up and taking it on, no worries.
Yeah, he doesn't look happy with it, so it must be the 5 that's that lighter coloured ball next to the rail. He might go for a snooker if that's the case.
Let's see what he's got.
Absolutely nothing, I'm afraid. I will be giving him grief about that too when I next see him.
Those little touchy shots can be tricky. There's can be a fine line between getting them perfect and getting them horribly wrong. Unfortunately, he's the wrong side of the line on that one.
Yeah, obviously you needed to avoid hitting the ball, didn't you? That was the thing, and then to work out what pace you needed to hit it at to get the snooker. If you get the first one wrong, then the second one doesn't matter.
That's what you get for stretching. It was the one thing I wondered looking at that shot. I thought he's reaching it for a bit, which just makes playing it as precise difficult, and he's missed the pot altogether, but at the same time he's gotten away with it, and I think he's left Brent snookered here.
Yeah, it mucks up your cueing, doesn't it, when you're having to reach like that. That's why people tend to get angry with you if you reach and then miss the pot. They say, why don't you use the rest? Oh, just as you were saying.
Brent at it again. I swear he's better at banking and kicking than he is at just straight potting half the time. I've said that to him before. If I'm playing against him, I almost feel more confident if he's got a routine pot. It's when he's got something like that on it, that's when I start to sweat.
that got the legs?
Oh,
Yes, it
Greg
does.
is absolutely testing the pace of the table for the viewers there. Now you know exactly how quick the stable is.
Pretty well quick. They tend to be quick though, these, don't they? Especially when they're taken care of. These things absolutely rip.
You have to remember it's a napless cloth, so it's, yeah, the balls just slide on it much quicker. And obviously with the balls having a lot more weight, there's a lot more momentum to them. Keep the balls nice and in good condition, well polished, always helps.
Struck that beautifully. It's quite easy to overscrew those, isn't it? But that was almost like a stun shot rather than a screw, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Less is more. Greg gets the 9 in for the 1.
At least for that frame, and now it is 2 frames apiece. And it will be
5, remember, so
yes,
halfway
it
there.
is.
Almost halfway there.
Close enough to it anyway. And they do have the added advantage, the Kiwi boys, of breaking the next frame. They of course won the lag, so every odd numbered frame they break. This frame number 5.
So I suspect Brent will probably take the break again if there's no real rule. They have to stick with the order. So again, you know, Brent puts in a lot of time on the practice table when it comes to a lot of things like the break shot or some of those jump shots and kicks. The sort of shots he's put the hours in and has dialed down pretty well. So I'll be expecting him to sink the wing ball here.
Well, would have done. He got a bit unlucky. Something else got in the way.
At least haven't left the easiest start. While the 1 is possibly makeable in the middle pocket, it's going to be difficult to do something with the 2. So again, sort of one of these ones. It's interesting to see whether he looks to take the 1 and then play a safety off the 2, or whether there's a safer option available now.
Oh, I don't think he'll be trying to pot this. He may even decide to take a push shot.
Could, although I think more often than not, the guys, if there's a shot there, I think they're often keen to try and do something with what they've got. I wouldn't be surprised if he looks to just pop the 1 and run the white down in line with the 2. I think there's a easier safety from there.
Oh, that's even better. Look at this.
Well, here we are talking about all these
Just
defensive
made a shot
negative
up.
options, and he's just smoked it in the middle and got perfect posse on the 2. So shows what we know, and Jun showing his experience. I mean, he's been a 9-ball player his life, and clearly knows the options better than we do.
Well, he's also got the advantage of actually playing at the moment, doesn't he? But
I guess he's got a slightly better view of the table.
But those are not easy to play at that pace, at that angle, because unlike the 7-footers, those jaws are pointed, so if you catch any part of those with a shot that hard, you will not get a pop. You may have half a chance on 7-footers if you hit it hard and you just catch a wee jaw, but not on these. So that had to be precision perfect, and it was, and now he gets to follow his Pinoy mates to get something a little bit easier.
So imagine here, we're just looking here, point on the table showing exactly where he wants it. So we'll just be stunning into this with a bit of right hand side, looking to play off the 2 rails, slightly back towards the centre of the table, but just the stun, just to get the white ball to travel a little bit wider on that initial contact.
So what he's doing here is he's almost taking ownership of the next few shots, isn't he? He's said to Norman, this is what I want to do, right? Get it roughly about where I did get it.
He's judged that quite nicely. I mean, he's short of where he was aiming for, but I think the key thing was at least getting to straight or that side of the line. From here he can just draw straight back and leave a pretty simple cut on the 6. So again, it's one of those ones where there's no point trying to force it and get too perfect on that 6. You just need to get back and leave yourself the cut, and you'll have naturally go for posse on the 7 next. Oh, he hasn't
Kind
got
of stabbed at it, didn't he?
Yeah, no
Came
time
up,
on
he
that one.
came up on it.
Again, I wonder just because stretching a wee bit, often, the key to getting a good screw is really just getting your cue through the ball with some acceleration. It's often what happens when you're on the end of your reach.
You kind of shove the cue at, won't you, if you're reaching too much, rather than actually stroking.
Run out of momentum. I'll see what they got here. I wonder if he'll be looking to the bank or if he's going to take his medicine and play it safe. I think the safety is the sensible option here. I don't think it's too difficult to sort of, get 9 in between the balls here, but whether he goes for that.
Yeah, I think he's probably trying to impart that experience, isn't he, to say to a player who may be more interested in trying to pot balls, like there's another option here, your percentage shot is to play safe.
Yeah, John is well and truly showing him exactly how to play that shot. It looked like he was almost going to hit it for a second.
Yeah, that would have incurred a bit of a penalty, that, wouldn't it? Can't play out of turn. He's looking to get behind the 8, but he's underhit it.
Right idea, but the key on that one was making sure you got the 6 far enough.
Yes.
Not allowed drinking. See you later.
Overcut it. Is he going to get a bit of luck though?
He hasn't left the next shot easy at least, but disappointed not to take that opportunity. It's definitely like that in 9 ball when you get your chances, you really feel like you need to capitalise because
yeah, other guy's going to remind you of it, isn't he?
So key shot here for Jin. See if he can make this one. He hasn't gone for it. It's exactly what we were talking about there before, is that if you're not 100% confident on the pot, it's often too risky. If you take it on and miss, you can be handing the frame to your opponent. So just played a containing shot. I'm sure he would have liked to have got the snooker there though. He's left that a wee bit short, so again, still runs the risk that Paul could make something happen here, or say Paul might try and do a similar shot where he sends the 6 down this end of the table, or the white down this end of the table.
He's almost looking like he's playing for maybe half a bank, half a lead safety.
A two-way shot maybe.
Yeah, 6 back towards the corner pocket where his hand's resting. He's a good banker too. Look at this. This could drop.
Yeah, you've called that well.
He's a very
shot from Paul.
He's very good at that shot. So I'm not surprised he had a go at it. If a player is naturally good at those shots, you best to let them just play it.
Shot here for Brent though to get the white for the black, so you need to give this one some thought. It's just very difficult to travel the white full length of the table with top driving through here, and at the same time if you're playing screw over this distance, it's hard to maintain your accuracy. So big shot for Brent. Oh, he's played that very well.
From where he was, that's actually a very good result, because you had to absolutely give it.
So another one here where I think Greg just needs to focus on the pot more than anything. I think there's a natural angle that if you're just dropping this one in sort of, pretty gently, I think the white's naturally running back for the black, for the 9, sorry. See what he's got.
No. Where's cue ball going? That's
second prize,
difficult.
tough leave.
This is a player who's probably got the least confidence at the moment too, I'd imagine. Out of the 3 of them, although he did pot a couple of good balls last visit.
Similar leave though, length, cagey affair at the moment here.
Length and a fair bit of a cut too. If there is one thing I do know about Paul, he's actually not very good at these.
Well, you'd give him half a chance at least, John.
You would, but if you're putting money on this, you'd put money on him to miss it. And I'm not trying to be nasty, but just through watching him play, he doesn't tend to do so well at fine cuts.
any time, you know, queuing off the rail with length, fine cut, I mean, all three of those factors make a shot a lot more difficult on their own, so we're up against it here, but I guess what I often ask myself in these situations is, you know, even if I'm not that confident on the pot, you've got to be pretty confident on your safety to make it worth turning down, so sometimes if the safety is going to be just as difficult as well, you're
might
better
as
off
well
to
just have a
give
go,
it a
eh?
crack and give yourself the chance of something fortunate to come off.
Needs to get that past the middle.
Or if it's just short of the middle, so not a bad option there, just sending the ball to the side cush.
Yeah, it's not horrible, is it?
I mean, it's definitely on, and again, it's kind of asking John that similar question here of, you know, are we going to take on the pot, or are we going to play it safe?
Or are you going to put one of us back in?
Sorry, it's not John's shot, he's just first to the table again, so it was an easy mistake to make.
Well,
Clearly calling the shots for the boys there.
It is, yeah, literally. It is that way when a player takes the ownership role or the leadership role, as Jun is doing here, being the player with the most experience in this game. You'd expect him to do that.
Absolutely, and definitely, you know, from a couple of times being in similar situations myself, it's as much about taking some pressure off some of the less experienced players. So just if you can kind of give them the confidence that their shot selection is right, it makes it easier to focus on the execution.
Yeah, it's not going to drop. Is he going to get lucky? Oh, yes he is. You can see him hold his hand up too.
I'll tell you what, if it's Brent's shot, I fancy him to jump this and pop this.
It is, you know.
It is. I'll tell you what, he loves these shots.
You watch him saunter to the table, he's almost like, oh, thanks for snookering me, now watch this.
He'll probably go one further and look to get a bit of bottom on this if he can, to sort of screw back for that 9, so keep a close eye on this one, guys. Oh, that is unlucky. He's played that beautifully. It's actually jumped off the back of the pocket as it's fired in, so it's always the difficulty of those close range ones is when you land the white on the object ball, as he did there, it sends a bit of bounce into the 8 ball as well, and it's meant the 8 has bounced into the pocket, and even though he had the line right, it's unfortunately bounced out and left a routine finish for the Filipino boys. So again, just showing those fine margins. You know, he's millimetres away from playing a fantastic shot to win the frame, and unfortunately it's cost him this time.
I do like how well, the 8, if it bounces off the table, it's counted as potted, isn't it? On that.
Yes, it's stayed down, yes.
I do like how Brent didn't just concede the frame, he actually made Judd play the 9, even though he had ball in hand on it. I think that's a mark of respect. I do, because I sometimes get grotty with players who concede the frame when there's still a ball to be potted. You're best to just let the player take the victory as they've deserved it, so to speak.
Well, something I'm always very aware of if I'm playing, you know, sort of a big match, and you know, it's as much a mental battle with your opponent as it is a technical battle on the table. And I just feel like when you start doing things like conceding the frame and not letting them finish, I just think when you start giving off, you know, negative signs and body language like that, I think it helps your opponent more than anything. I think if they see you getting frustrated and doing things like that, it gives them a lift. So I think it's important in a big match to give your opponent nothing.
Well, also to give them nothing, but to give them respect as well. But you're still a player enough to actually give them the respect despite them having the wood on you, so to speak.
So Brent's got the opening look on the 1 here. Very makeable pot, easy posy for the 2s, going to be no problems getting down to the 3. So I think when we look at this frame, it's probably just going to hinge around getting good looks from around the 4, 5, 6. I think those are going to be the key sequence of balls. I think if they can deal with those, the finish will open up. But they probably just want to make sure they know, you know, they need to be thinking about it now is, you know, where are you going to be playing the 5 up, the 4, how are you going to be getting to the 6.
I'd imagine Paul would just want to screw off the bottom rail here, and you'd want to end up about as straight as you'd like.
I think
Oh
that's
no, just off centre.
If anything, you want to get just past straight. So I think you'll be playing through with top right just to go 2 cushions and out to straightish on the floor will be the plan. He's stunned out into a similar position, and he's left a really good angle there, so that allows Brent to just sort of stun run through and leave the 5 to the bottom corner. I guess unless he's confident leaving it dead straight and leaving the combo of the 5 onto the 6 is the other option. But
It's not the sort of shot that you really want to be left unless you're specifically good at it.
I think the key is it just has to, like if you leave it dead straight, it's not too difficult, but as soon as it gets a hint of an angle, it gets tricky. But at the same time, getting a stun run right here can be difficult as well. I mean, it might just be one that you just roll this pocket weight and just let the white roll through that little bit for the 5 next.
Oh, he's gotten really lucky there.
So he's played the more positive shot to get better position, and he's chanced his arm, and it's come off from this time. So just like we've called it at the end of the last frame, he's taken on a difficult shot and got a little bit unlucky. This time he's got the luck. So just shows what happens if you go for your shots, I guess.
Bit of swings and roundabouts, isn't it, this game? But you have to actually put the effort in to get the luck, so to speak. You actually have to try it, you have to play the shot to get the luck.
So Greg's overrun that one. It's just left another tricky wee shot for Paul. I think the cut is still pretty makeable, but just when you're coming off fine with the white, it's easy to lose the cue ball. He has lost it. Has it gone round enough? I think it's there. I think he's got the shot in the corner.
Yeah, that laugh would tell you, wouldn't it?
It was hairy, but it's got there.
So just a wee jack up screw here. Take the rail.
Take it off the cushion. And see, even a shot like that, it just boils down to going back a couple of shots. As one shot gets slightly out of posi, it just starts having that knock-on effect, and each shot just starts getting slightly more difficult. Hopefully he's got a bit of angle here, and that will allow him to run through with top.
9 in the corner, there where the white ball was.
Yeah, nicely played.
Oh, he's played that beautifully, even with a bit of, running side too, wasn't it?
I think it looked predominantly like top to me on that one. I think the danger with putting side on those is it can accelerate the white too much off the cushion sometimes. I know when I first started playing, I was guilty of probably putting too much side on a lot of those shots. You often just want a little trace to help it run around the angles. Nice one, and Paul will be happy with that after
we'll have a 2-day break
routine
now,
9
so
earlier. He'll be feeling a lot confident for getting that one in the bank, and leveling the scores up at 3 apiece, so it continues to be a tight match. It's anyone's game really.
Yeah, it's nothing quite like winning your first 9, is it?
Absolutely, it's just for your own
Just
confidence.
that feeling that you've finally got one, yes.
And it's often so much tougher. It just compares alone. It's so much harder to get your rhythm when you don't get the pot consecutive balls. You keep sync one, then you walk away, and then maybe when you come back, it's a safety shot, not even a pot. So it'll be a lot tougher to find your potting and cueing rhythm in a pairs match. And this is triple, so it's even tougher. So no, you'll definitely be happy with that.
Tell you what, Waddy was spot on there. This was a really good burger.
Well, where was it from, John? You might as well give them a shout out and a plug. Do we know where it came from? I know we were looking at Slick Burgers initially, who I highly recommend, but they were closed, so I'm not sure who we've ended up with. But we'll try and find out from Waddy shortly, and we'll give them their due.
I'm not normally a burger person either. I don't usually eat burgers, but this one I'll be willing to make an exception for.
Oh, that's a big pot from Jun first up. Nice shot.
Got a little bit of a rub with the cannon onto the toe as well.
It's always going to be tough to get posi on that one. I think he might have liked to have tried and go right round it, but I think at the same time, they've got a shot. That's the main thing. It's just going to be how they can hold for the 3 next. I'm sure we can play that to the middle and just screw into the side cushion and back out. That might be what we're looking at.
I sense that what Graham's done here is he's tried to got me a burger with a lot of good stuff in it, and then got me a water because of the fact that the way I eat is different to a lot of people he knows.
It's a tough one. He's got a good posse. It was a good attempt, but unfortunately he's just missed the 2 there, so handed the initiative back to the Kiwis, and tough pot for Greg here first up, but if he can make it, pretty natural angle to give themselves a good chance to get into this frame. So, important shot here.
Just to avoid running into the 4, doesn't he? Oh, he's played that for the side, and the side didn't take. Either that or he just didn't cue it correctly. It looks silly, doesn't it, when you do play for that trace of side and it doesn't contact the ball with that same spin.
And so what I've been battling with a little bit, because I've just been getting back into the game in the last couple of weeks myself, and I always have a bit of a break over summer, and it's often just the weight you play those shots at, and so sometimes I might allow for my side and my throw correct, but if I hit a fraction too hard, then that's what throws it a bit wide, or equally if I decelerate and hit it a fraction soft, then it doesn't throw as much. So sometimes you've lined up and allowed nicely, but then just the weight you strike it at has a big impact on how much that cue ball's throwing as well. So a lot of different factors, but the short of it is he didn't quite get it right, and Filipinos made a great pot there to get back into it. So if Jun can pot this one and leave the 3 on next, good chance here.
One thing he will not want to do is pot them both. There you go, that's perfect. He couldn't have hit that any better than he did.
So still just not quite straightforward this finish, just with having the 6, 7, 9 all in close proximity to each other and a bit of distance between the 4 and 5. I think he's going to want to get a good position here so that they can play a good shot from the 4 back to the 5 next. And not ideal, that one. He's nudged the 9 to cover the 6 more, and there's going to be a hampered bridge on the 4, so a mistake there from Norman. Norman often one of the guys to beat down here, very sharp player, so uncharacteristic mistake there.
Maybe he took that shot a little too easily. Because it was so simple, you sometimes forget that you pot the ball here, but you also need pause.
Well, it was another one of those ones where you're sort of leaning out over the table in an unorthodox stance, and often you just lose that little bit of finesse and precision when you're not in the usual position. Good recovery.
That was a lovely pot from Darwin though to straighten him up.
Absolutely, but as we can see, with that 9 covering the 6 now, this here becomes a key shot. We'll be curious to see as if he sort of hits this with top left and get a good punch on it to sort of throw a bit wider off the top rail and get underneath the 6, or the other option I guess could even just be screwing off it, pulling directly into the 6 and the 9.
That's quite risky, because if he gets the wrong connection, he could go and off, couldn't he?
I mean, it's a similar risk with either shot, really. It's going to be a difficult one to make the pot and develop the 6. I mean, you could argue, with potting long down the rail being a lot easier on these tables, he could just try and slide the white underneath the 6 or the top left of the screen as we see it, and just play the 6 back down to this bottom left corner. So a few options, and he's had a lash, and
does that go
where's
behind?
the 5 going to end up? I think he's left the 5, and not a bad position where they can hopefully play the 6.
Yeah, he's not left that stuck on the 6, has he? So there is a shot there, and it'll be a much easier shot to get onto the 6. All Paul has to do is just draw a little bit, just a little bit.
It's a tricky one though, needs a lot of finesse. You can easily overscrew or underscrew this one and suddenly not have a good look on the 6. So important shot.
on in the other pocket. Not that he was trying to do that at all.
Stun run.
I think this is on past the 7, you know.
Forster just said stun run.
I think it is, for sure.
Just needs to keep that white ball somewhere around there for the 7 if he is to play that way.
Tricky thing. It's just holding this white and keeping a look on the 7 next.
You almost have to dig into it with what, bottom left, would you?
I think, you know, if you're playing with bottom left, you can kind of catch the 6 a lot fuller and use the left to throw the 6 wider, but it's just risky. And yeah, sensible option from Brent. And this, again, harking back to what we talked about before, if you're not 100% on the pot and the positive, you're risking a chance of giving them the frame. If there's an easy snooker there, which there was, you're much better off taking that. And if they don't get out of this, you've got ball in hand and almost a certain victory. So at the same time, I would expect Norman to get out of this one. It's not too tricky, but there's just a large element of luck in where things will end up. Wow.
He's failed to get out of it. Hello. You've not quite as good at calling those as you thought you were.
No, I'm blaming Norman. I think I called it just fine again. Like I say,
It's all up to the person playing the shot though, isn't it?
yeah, and like I say, Norman's a pretty experienced player and normally one of the guys to beat down here, so I did expect him to make that. But as we talked before, when you're playing, you know, a triples game like this and you've got a few people watching the stream on, suddenly even the most simple shots start getting a lot more difficult. So easy to sit here and criticise, but it's a lot tougher when you're out there trying to do it. Jeez, and that one is nearly hung there, wow.
You're right, it was a good burger, Waddy.
Give a shout out to the burger station, Stanmore Road.
Well, there we go. So we've got the news in, folks. The burger was from the burger station, Stanmore Road. So we gave Slickies a shout out before, and burger station, Stanmore Road too. Check them out.
Slickies for what exactly?
Oh, Slickies for Slip Burgers.
Oh, Slip Burgers. Hey.
And we're just going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors as well, Kevlar Homes and Morrison Cars, Anytime Fitness and Need More Firewood, Excellence Billiards on there as well. Just got to thank all these guys who supported all these events as always. Couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, and this is officially the Kevlar Homes KiwiPino Cup, but without all of the other support that you've just mentioned there, Mike, this thing just doesn't happen. And they've put some time, some money and effort into actually getting behind the sport, so well done to all of them.
Yeah, I got Waddy just tapping me on the shoulder here, just begging me to give him a shout out for his work and involvement as well. So thanks for all your time as always, Waddy. No, he's not tapping me on the shoulder, he's telling me to say that, but he definitely deserves a shout out. As we all know, a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to make events happen, and if somebody doesn't have the vision and drive it, then these things don't happen.
So 4 frames to 3 is your score. The Kiwi boys leading over the Filipinos.
And so just before we get too far into this match, I'm just going to throw in one more shout out while we're doing them all, and that's just to Greg Croudis as well, another one of our committee members here at Paul Canterbury. Greg as well puts a lot of time into these events, specifically for this one. He's helped us a lot getting all this stream and commentary set up that hopefully some of you viewers are enjoying. So big thanks to Greg for giving up his time. I mean, he travels down here from Blenheim to do all this, which is pretty ridiculous. So yeah, big thanks to Greg for helping us out and making these things happen.
Going for a hopawate here, is he? Right in behind it and give it a boot. That's what he's tried to do, and if he rolls a winner here.
Yeah, often with those sort of kick shots in that position, I think the main thing you're trying to do is to contact the ball you're playing really full, which he's done a pretty good job there. So if you catch that one full, the white pretty much kills and stays where it is, and it sends the one up the other end of the table, which is about the most he could try and do there was spread them, maybe hope that the white got him behind that 6.
Oh, off the 2.
Nicely played from Norman. I'll have to ask him later whether he was playing for the pocket or the 2, but at the end of the day, the 1's in the pocket and I've got the look on the 2, so effective either way. Great chance here for the Filipinos as well.
We'll ignore how it came about, but we'll just fast forward to the result.
So I think here, probably just making sure they're tidy around that 4 and 5, you know, that's just when they're close together that can sometimes, they can get in each other's way, so just probably a good shot here to get perfect position on the 4 will open up to a good position on the 5 and a chance for the frame.
Yeah, he's just looking to see if it passes the 9, because he could just go around the back of the 5 and put the 4 into that pocket he was just eyeing up there, top left of screen. There is the other option, is to put the 4 into the same pocket as the 3. That may be a little more difficult to achieve though.
Looks like he definitely wants to get round out there, and then the other option is something I touched on earlier, is if you're not confident on that posse, sometimes just dropping it in, starting out a little bit, and taking the 4 to the opposite corner. Just making sure you give yourself a look, but if that pulls up, could be a little bit tricky. So I think the opposite corner is going to come into play if he takes on the cut.
Or the bank. He's looking at the combination. I was thinking bank, but no, that's the wrong term for it. The combination here.
I think if it was me, I'd be...
Or he's shelved it.
See what he's got. Yeah, and it's often the tendency when you're playing a shot like that and you're trying really hard to pull the white back for the 5. He's hit the ball a bit full and missed the pot, just trying to get the white back, and he's gotten away with it though, and snookered Greg. So not the best shot, but a fantastic outcome.
Chat's come alive here, Mike. We've got 2 more messages on chat than we had before.
Fantastic.
Just talking about Greg Croudis. I think that was 2 years ago, wasn't it? It certainly couldn't have been last year.
No, you're right, and so yeah, I think it would have been around about this time a year ago, was it?
APL World Championships. I'm just looking through the window. I can actually see the photo of the team up there.
And so I just want to remind the viewers, just in terms of the overall format for this event. So basically, while each match is a race to 5, each match is ultimately worth 1 point in the bigger picture, and in the overall race over the 3 days, it will be the first team to win 5 matches. So it's a race to 5, whichever way you look at it. Race to 5 per match, and then race to 5 matches.
Because yeah, that's what you've got when you have 3 games on each night, isn't it? You have a total of 9 games, so it ends up becoming a virtual race to 5 on that.
That is correct, and so good chance. Oh no, actually, sorry, I lied. The double's not quite there. So probably just a containing safety. Needs that white to pull up.
Needed the 4 to keep going,
but hit a good line. Just unfortunately couldn't quite get it there.
Whole bunch of balls to hide behind, but didn't want to play the game.
There's another half chance here. Again, while the pot is on, it's that white ball's going to be travelling, so it'll be interesting to see whether he takes it on. I suspect he still will. Just trying to send the white right around the table and back for the 5 to the same pocket.
Get a bump on the 6 would be lovely. Or the 7, should I say. Lovely shot.
That very nice. Definitely needed that touch on the 7 just to kill the white for the 5, and great chance now for the guys.
I wouldn't so much call that luck, I'd just call that what you deserve after playing a good shot. Some people will say you got lucky that you got that little kiss on the ball to get that position, but I don't think it was so much luck, because you knew what you wanted to do, you executed the pot, and if you do get that little bit of fortune, then you deserve it.
Oh, absolutely. Like we said before, if you're not taking on your shots and going for them, then you don't get anything. So it's good to see. And this here is going to be the key positional shot, really. And just with that 8 being close to the 7, it just means they just can't take quite a straightforward 2-rail option to play the 7 back to the same corner. So it's been interesting. I think that is still the option. He's just got to make sure he runs just far enough to get past the 8 and still leave the 7.
two rails pretty much splat in the middle of the table.
That's the one. And again, you know, I think often here, you know, the pockets are big enough. You don't have to leave yourself dead straight. The key is leaving yourself a shot. And it just needs to keep rolling.
No, that's too partially snookered, isn't it?
No, it might be one of those ones that if he can at least catch it full, again, if he puts a lot of right hand side, he'll be able to flick it left and make it on. So it's it'll be interesting to see whether he's got just enough to do that shot or whether he'll have to come up with something else.
We swerve perhaps?
Yeah, it's very, very similar effect to what putting a lot of right hand side would do to flick the ball a bit left. So it just will depend how much the 8 ball is obstructing the 7. Will probably determine how high he's got to get that backhand and how much action he needs on it. But I think that is the shot here.
He's not jacking up very highly, so it must be quite subtle. Yeah, he's hit that beautifully. Nice shot.
With those ones, if they're only a millimetre off, you often just need to load them up with a bit of side, just to flick the ball over there a little bit more. Just executed it perfectly there, so just be interested to see what sort of angle Norman's got here. I think again he probably doesn't need to overdo it. Just run through with the white towards the centre and give them a look at the 9. Yep.
Yeah, lots and lots of top right.
Nicely played.
Lovely. That's one way you can open those up, isn't it? Is to play with that running side, even though if you are the wrong side of the pocket, you can still make the position as if you were the correct side of the pocket.
I always enjoy those shots. They're nice to watch. White drifting in towards the rail slowly, then hits the rail and accelerates and sharply changes direction.
So hill it is.
Good 9 ball there. I was just before it. I was about to say it was a routine 9, and then I had flashbacks to seeing a very similar 9 missed earlier in the match. So I thought I'd better shut my mouth and let him play it first.
Yeah, that was the one that Paul missed, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so. So fist bumps all round. Hill, what started as
You're
a
still
race
allowed
of
to
5.
shake hands, aren't you?
Oh, you are, but so fist bumps have sort of just become the thing up here, I guess. You know, where the whole cannery room's been sort of kicking off
It's,
and gaining a bit of momentum.
1 on the
since
spot if
last
it's
year,
4 each.
so I know
9
we're sort
on
of
the
first
spot if it's
opening
4
back
each.
up and getting a few new people in at that point. Fist bumps are what you had to do, you know, it was supposed to be elbows initially.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I think,
trying to
you know,
stay away from the person as much as possible.
So good habits, you know, we started fist bumping instead of handshakes, and they've just stuck really, so.
It was good actually because when I play for the Cobras on Tuesday night when we play inter-club pool, and that's their standard greeting is the fist bump, so I've become accustomed to it myself.
Any dice,
Lovely to
how's the
play
4
with.
going? Oh no. Dry breaker, hill.
They know well spread too.
They're all there. It's
3's a bit tricky, but spike position will make that not so.
just a couple of key long balls to get going really. They're going to need to put a good long one here and then get a good shot from the 2 to the 3.
Jumped up big time on that. Is he going to get lucky though?
Normally he's been a bit off his game tonight. Say most of the time he just doesn't miss much at all. Very sharp and tidy player. So the guys want to capitalise on him making a couple of errors because he's normally the one who'll punish them.
Yeah, he's kind of been jumpy, hasn't he? He hasn't really looked in any rhythm whatsoever, and when you do miss a few balls at the start of the game, then it can be very hard to find a stroke, as it were.
Yeah, and as I said before, you know, especially in triples where you're not getting to play consecutive balls, and you know, and often when you are coming up, you're having to play a safety. So
Oh, here's a snooker.
He's got the snooker,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the kick off the rail is still there. This is a very makeable one in that corner. If you can just hit that rail just before the 1, bit of side to turn into it. Very
It will
much
naturally funnel the 1 towards the pocket too, won't it, with the side?
What will be interesting is he made decide if he doesn't fancy that, if there's a risk he might leave the 1 there. He could just try and go right underneath the 1 again, but like earlier, catch it full, kill the white where it is, and send the 1 around. But no.
Oh, he's gone for it. Where's this going? That's all good. It's about as it's near perfect, that isn't it? It's a long shot, but it's not too difficult. And if he hits this nicely, he'll be in perfect pos on the 3.
That's it, and this one doesn't need much at all. You can pretty much just play this plain ball and let the weight do the work.
Did you need the screw?
No, I would have gone underneath the 6, absolutely, but
You would have avoided the 6 naturally, wouldn't you?
yeah. And I think Norman showing after the fact with his cue the line he would have liked to have seen that played on, but still going nonetheless. Very makeable bank. One good shot here, and the frame's all there for the taking.
Oh, yes. Do like a good bank.
The only thing I'll question here is it's going to be another one of these shots where I imagine John's going to be stretching a wee bit, and it's just going to, the sort of shot either way, he needs to get through this with a bit of top side, or he needs to get into it with a bit of draw. And as we've seen a couple of mistakes earlier from guys playing on the end of their reach, things can go wrong. So see John, if he can reach around the side just enough, he should still be able to get the cue through it.
I've overhit this.
Yeah.
Oh, he's overhit it by a ton.
That's exactly what I've just talked
Look
about.
out, 8 ball.
When you get out of your regular stance, there's just you bring in that much more risk for that going on. And again, you can probably just beg the question on a few shots we've seen tonight: is should the guys have pulled out the rest?
Norman can see a piece of this, so I think the idea though is you can see a piece of it. Where's your snooker?
I think you'll probably just cut it as fine as humanly possible, just so the 5 nestles on the rail right beside it, and just send the white onto the opposite side of the table with the 8 and the 9 in between. I think that would be my shot, but if he can't get the edge of it, then looks like he's going to have to go 2 rails and come into the back of it, kicking it towards this bottom corner. Key shot.
You could see you could see the line of the cue that John had there is to almost as if to say take the shot on. Nothing else is really looks good, so have a go at it.
And if you're not confident that you can leave them safe after playing it, then you've got to give it a crack. And so if you don't hit it, you don't get lucky. And geez, he very nearly was. I think just
that cue ball's still spinning as well.
Yeah.
Must have put a fair bit of work on that to make it spin like that. That last, I know it's been a while since we read it comments, but you were saying it was last year, John. I wouldn't have thought they'd have gone to Vegas.
It was right before. Remember, John? They came back, and that was when the guys were coming back, and that was how Matt picked it up, and the other guys sort of.
Okay, so in
that
February.
Because that was the tournament got short. I think they were meant to be there for longer, and they were literally in Vegas in the States playing when it broke out and had to scamper back. So yeah, it was pretty scary times.
Yeah, that would have been February in the States, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
See, it was kind of late February last year here when we got our first case. Whereas in the States, I think that's about when it started to take hold. So everything had to shut down, and of course then you had that massive brouhaha as to which states did what and so on. And obviously that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it did unfortunately mean that we didn't have as much pull as we would have liked. But the one good thing about
where's the position here? This is a key shot. Stop.
Oh, took the nudge, nice.
Oh, that little kick off the black has probably just saved them in terms of being able to get from the 7 to the 8 a bit more easily here. If that white had just run a bit further to the bottom rail, he'd have no choice but to travel the white around the table. He may still go for it. There's a pretty natural 3-angle rail to come back to the centre, but if he can catch it full enough, he might just slow roll this in, drift the white out for a relatively straight black.
1, 2, 3, and that, if it pulls up, is bang on.
Played that nicely, very nice.
I'll finish that point I was going to make after this, but I think you know roughly where I was going. Yeah, well played, Paul.
Nicely controlled.
Out she comes for Greg to put the icing on it, you would assume.
Here we go, and Greg makes the 9 for the match. 5-4, so what a cracker first up. It was neck and neck the whole way really, and as we saw several times, fine margins where guys had chances to take it out, just missed out. So well done to the Kiwi boys, the local team, taking out the first match, going out to a 1-0 lead overall.
So you're up first, Paul. Do you want to do a break?
So we'll probably be taking just a short break here. I think the stream will continue just until our next matches start for the night. So tonight we have 2 more singles matches for you. We've got John Carreon will be playing against Brent, and we'll have Darwin Dulay playing Paul Blackler. I'm not quite sure the order of those matches, sorry, but 2 singles matches, both race to 5 coming up. Stay tuned. Just a short break. Yep.
I mean, 19 is a
compared to a laptop screen, when you put the laptop in there, it sticks out.
Alrighty guys, we'll get underway.
Okay, that's the old 4x3.
Yeah, singles. Yeah, legs, breast, five.
Who's playing first? Darwin.
24, 26.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we must be up to about 1 million viewers by now. So we went to our first singles match. That was a really exciting Scotch triples. Went down to the wire 5-4, as quite often these matches do. So our first player all the way from Riccarton via the Philippines, Darwin Dulay. And Paul, I tell you what, I'm not really sure where he's from. We've always wondered for the last 30 or 40 years. But great supporter of 9-ball in Canterbury from Anytime Fitness, and his lovely wife Julie. They've been fantastic supporters. So Paul Blackler, Mr. Blackler, good luck guys. Leg.
So welcome back to all our viewers. This is the first game of singles here, day one, or rather evening one, of the KiwiPino Cup by Kevlar Homes. There you can also see on the screen your other supporters, or sponsors shall we say. Need More Firewood, Anytime Fitness Ramiora, of which Paul is actually the owner of that gym. Paul Canterbury, of course, and Excellence Billiard Supplies. This is their home, in fact. Level 1, St Asaph Street, Christchurch. Lovely little hall, actually. I just went upstairs to have a really good look at it and to talk with a few of the players. It's a snug wee place for 9-ball. Back again onto commentary with Mike Hayes.
Hey guys, good to be back, and teeing off this first frame, we got a dry break by the looks. Not an easy starter on the one though, so too much trouble straight away.
It's not that first ball, isn't it? You just played triples, but now singles is just so much a different beast. You're not having to position for your partners, so everything you're playing is for yourself.
He hasn't quite managed the snooker there, but at least left enough distance and a tricky enough starter that getting from the 1 to the 2 is no guarantee. I'm not sure, it doesn't look like the 2 passes the 8 into the top corner, so it's going to need quite a good shot here to be able to continue. Should be able to get back enough to play the 2 to the centre past the 5 though.
Well, you definitely got the white going in the right direction, but without the pot it's worth nothing.
Probably hasn't quite left the 1 either, so might should be another containing shot from Paul here. I'm not sure if he might just look to clip the 1 over to the side rail behind the 5 and send the white towards the bottom corner down here, something like that maybe.
Better to catch this too fat than too thin, aren't you? Catch it too thin, you might go an off, but catch it too fat, then you may not leave a snooker, but it's still a difficult shot.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what he's done.
Is he trying to drag that white ball past the 8 there, just to get a snooker that way?
I suspect so. Which unfortunately hasn't quite judged it right, although I don't know, it looks like the 1 probably doesn't quite go to the corner past the 3, or does it?
That's where he's lining up, it must just sneak past. Yes indeed, and just sneaks past the 6 for the 2.
Good starter, and the balls are in relatively open positions. Getting from the 4 to the 5 could present some problems, but great chance here for Paul.
It could be the 5 to the 6, I reckon. Oh, he's lifted his head.
He will not need to worry about the 4, the 5 or the 6.
Yeah, he can't get the 2, then you won't get a look at those. Yeah, he kind of just lifted or kinked his head on contact, and when you do that, then the cue ball doesn't follow a straight or true path. So when you're cueing through the ball, you're aiming for a certain point on the white ball, but you don't end up hitting that point on the white ball, and the shot goes awry. This is why you always need to keep your head still and keep it down on the shot.
So this will be the key one here, just giving himself a good look. And while the 5 does look pretty straightforward to the middle, they're often just that much tighter coming into the middles at fine angles on the 9-foot tables. So he might choose to just run it all the way to the corner rather than the middle. That'd probably be what I'll be doing here. Just stroke it in and just run the white through gently. So he's left himself a good angle for that.
Well, those corners are black holes, aren't they? So all you have to do is just run it, as you were saying. No point going for the middle.
Yeah, no problem. A little bit short, but still shouldn't present too many problems. You'll just want a wee bit of angle to work with on the 7. You could decide to just finish up low on it or straightish and screw back, but I think you'd rather have the white in the centre of the table, and that way you can just stun that 7 into the corner and drift the white back out to the centre.
Yeah, much easier off the side rail, isn't it? And you see he's trying to improve that position as much as he can by running the gauntlet. That's not too bad, although it's a little longer than he would have liked, but the mechanics remain the same.
He's overhit that slightly. He definitely would have wanted to be a lot shorter on that, but again, should still be a pretty favourable angle to run this one in and run round for the 9. He could throw a bit of extra left-hand side and push the white a bit closer to the left corner to end up swinging the white right round and playing the 9 to the left corner. Looks like he's lining up for that.
Take that off out of your head, don't you? Because that's where it's naturally going if you don't put something on it.
Screwed, and he's played that quite well. He's gone to the 9, so a wee bit fortunate. He's caught that thin and not any fuller, but it's worked at the end of the day, and he's taken out his first frame, goes to a 1-0 lead.
Well, yeah, that's the benefit of getting deep into that screw, isn't it? Is you get that good action on the cue ball. You see how it pulled away, and even though he did touch the 9, it was such a fine touch that it didn't actually affect anything, because that's roughly what sort of shot he would have had he not got that connection. But that all comes through the way he cued the ball. It was a lovely flowing stroke, and that's one thing that the Filipino players are well known for. If you do watch any of those old masters as they were, they had that lovely long fluid stroke, which a lot of people would have tried to emulate as you were playing as a young fella, right? You wanted to try and do that for yourself because it just looks so lovely.
Actually, for me, it's a bit of an interesting one, John. So, because for myself, being a lot newer to this game, I've come from more of a snooker background. So, when I first seen some of these 9-ball players in action, my first thought was that the whole setup just looked a little bit too loose and not precise enough. But definitely through playing a bit more, I've come to appreciate, the benefits of that sort of action, just in terms of having that looser arm to be able to get through the cue ball a wee bit better and generate a bit more action and power. So, there's lots of different ways to go about it, and I guess everybody has to find their own method, and there's always pros and cons whichever way you go about it.
Yeah, you have to be more technically correct in snooker, don't you? You don't see any deviation from the norm with snooker players, do you?
I think you just need that straighter arm, don't you? I think your potting just primarily just has to be that much more precise, so you tend to set up a bit more compact, whereas I guess with the potting being a bit easier here and just perhaps sometimes needing to be able to get a bit more of a cue through the ball to generate the action, or just to get that feel and that flow in your game, do tend to see a slightly more open setup, and as you said, it's definitely very common with a lot of the Filipino players coming from the 9-foot table background.
Yeah, none of these guys really play snooker that I know of as a major cue sport, so all of their pool is based off of this game, so that's why you see that difference in style, almost more technical correctness with the Kiwi players, because many of them, like yourself, play snooker or played snooker before they played this, so they'd have that tighter cueing and setup. But these guys, you see, they look just free and easy, don't they?
Absolutely. And like I say, there's a lot of shots where you need a bit of that in your action, so it's definitely not a criticism. So I'm curious if this 4 can just slide past that 5. Often when you play these into the rail at a fine angle at a nice slow pace, they slide a lot straighter, but I'm not sure if he can quite check the pocket that much from here. It's interesting to see what he goes for.
Interesting to know how much you actually play on these tables to know what the allowance is for that, because some tables have tighter pockets, so you'd never get away with it, but yeah,
He's gone for the combo.
went for the combination and didn't make it.
He's got away with the snooker though, so not a bad result at all.
There's almost a shrug of the shoulder like, I'll take that.
It's definitely, there's some big slices of luck and fortune feature in this game pretty prominently. Doesn't matter what level you're playing at, so you've just got to roll with the punches really. You'll get a lot of shots over the course of the match where you play a good shot and get burned and everything goes to rubbish, and then next visit you can hit one pretty rubbish and everything just turns to gold. So you just got to roll with it and hope that you get a few more go your way than against you.
Well, yeah, through little fault of your own, this game can very quickly turn to pose, can't it? Of course,
it can be cruel.
Of course, through not much contribution from yourself, the game can come up gold as well. I'm just talking about rubbish, like thin the 4 and going off.
You'd think there's no way he can hit the rail, hit the 4, and then slide between the 5 and still go in that corner, but it was a 1 in a million shot, and found a way to unfortunately dump it.
Well, as far as gaps go, you could fit an 18 wheel sideways through there, but with the shot that he played and the way he played it and so on, you just would never think so, would you? You'd never think it ever happens to you.
So it's going to be interesting to see what he tries to do with the 6 here. I guess that the 6 doesn't look like it goes to the corner past the 9, so I guess you could just, when you get to the 5, play a bit of a stop shot and a bank on the 6. The other option is, I think what I'd be looking to do is get, I think the 6 does go back to the centre from the left side, if you can get the white towards that pocket at the top left corner of the screen. So I expect them to, looks like he's seeing it that way too, is just to run through this one with a bit of top left, get underneath the 6 so that he can play it back to the centre.
Yeah, that's your easy pocket, isn't it?
So he's tried to develop it, and that's the risk. And I guess while the splits look great when they come off, often if the ball is on, you're better off just making sure you give yourself that look at it.
Well, that can easily blow up in your face, can't it? Go for the split, either don't get it or get it on the wrong angle and still leave yourself a horrible shot. It's one of those real risk-rewardy type shots that sometimes it's just not worth it. You're best to just try and play for the open pocket rather than making sure of it, as it were, by getting the split.
Well, and I think it's one of those shots that it kind of depends on the stage where your game is at. Like I remember basically when I first started getting to that point where I'm looking to develop more balls and promote things so that I can clear the table more, and when you first start seeing and playing those splits more often, you can easily fall into that trap of starting to look for them too much and going for them too often, and there's often a lot to be said just for keeping it a bit more simple and giving yourself that shot.
And you might be extremely good at the shot, or you might play it a lot, but the risk is always going to be there, isn't it? You're never going to take that risk away, and every so often they will bite you on the bum, so you obviously have to pick which Was that the 9
I think
first?
he's just caught the 6. Oh no.
What's he done here? Why is he conceding the frame?
It wasn't 3 fouls, was it?
Oh, point taken.
It must have been.
That is one
I wasn't
rule
keeping
that we
track.
do not see enforced a lot, or we're ever in a position to see.
It must have been. So usually when you see the 3 fouls come into play, it's because you know the opponent has sort of deliberately played a couple of tactical snookers to kind of develop their situation. Paul's actually just been really unlucky in that situation. That there's been probably 3 shots in a row where he's actually gone for a pretty legitimate shot and got unlucky. So
The first one was the scratch on the break, I think. The second one was when Darwin got lucky with the snooker after missing the pot, and Paul managed to get even unluckier by running the white down the rail. And then obviously that third foul was that one there where he contacted the 9 first, trying to get out of the snooker.
well, he'll be happy to see the back of that frame. I can guarantee that. So 2-0 lead, and Paul with a bit of work to do to get back into it.
Yeah, I must have sounded like an absolute idiot there, wondering why he just conceded that frame. Well, he didn't concede it, he just lost it.
That was my reaction at first as well, John. And like I say, I just think because of the nature of how those fouls came about, that it didn't look like your typical sort of 3 foul scenario at first glance. So
They weren't deliberate, were they? Usually you deliberately put a player in a snooker, they foul, and then if the finish is not there, you try to put them in another one, and they foul, and they get the warning, you're on 2 fouls, next one's loss of frame. So naturally you try to put them in a snooker a third time, but that wasn't like that. It was sort of bad luck snooker, yes, but bad luck and then bad luck.
Bad luck in snookers. He's just done one on himself. So
Swings and roundabouts.
a key shot here now, because with everything quite open, if he leaves Paul a reasonable starter, then could give Paul a good chance to get back into the match. So he needs to be careful with this one.
Oh, he's gone up behind it and gone and off. There's always that easy funnel off the edge of the ball, isn't there? When you try to play a kick shot and you get it wrong, there's always that chance with these big pockets that it'll just run down the rail and go in the hole.
Yeah. Alright, so great chance for Paul here. Just wants to get a nice run through, a little bit of angle on this to run up towards the 5. We can then screw back to the centre of the table for the 6. A nice angle to start off the 6, back over for the 7. So let's see how he goes about it.
It's a bit straighter than he would have liked, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit short. I think he would have wanted to get run down a little bit further, but he doesn't need to get too far back on this, really. Yeah, that's perfect.
Fine. Pretty natural, this. He doesn't really have to do much with it. Just avoid the 8 and he should be sweet.
I think he'll probably just play this with a bit of bottom right. Not too much, just enough that he can, again, allows him to catch the object ball a little bit fuller, flicks it to the left, and the white will just drift back this side of the 8. That side just kind of checks the ball and kills it off the rail a little bit too. Just got to watch out for that middle pocket.
That's fine. But the thing about that, when you play that side, is that the white ball actually goes further away from the ball that could snooker you, so there's less chance that you will snooker yourself, even if you don't quite hit it right.
So key shot here, he needs to get himself pretty straight on this black, and he'll be looking good for the frame. Oh, he's underdone it, so he's going to get there.
No, keep going, in fact. There's always 2 ways to skin a cat, isn't there? You either overhit it and get position in one pocket, or underhit it and get it position in the other one, but he's actually gone in between here.
So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes about this. I mean, I think your best shot here is still just to cut the black into that top left corner as we look at it, but I guess you could either sort of play with a little bit of bottom and left to get pushed close to that middle and then go around 3 rails back for the 9, or you could instead load it up with check side, right hand side, so that you slide into that rail and straighten up and take the 9 back to the same pocket as the black. So we should see which way he goes about it.
Well, these rails naturally do straighten up too, don't they?
He's gone for the 3 rails.
Now, what sort of shot will he leave Darwin? Nice and long, but the way he's actually been queuing,
He's hit these ones quite
You-
well, and it's a
you'd
shot.
bank on him
He's
to make
He's
these.
looked quite confident playing these ones with bottom side, so you do fancy him to sort of stun in and screw off that with a bit of side to drop in that corner and pull back. Pretty much trying to get the white back towards the direction where it is now. Oh, he's played the cue more nicely, and geez, he's nearly dropped the black in the opposite corner, but he just lipped out, and another chance for Paul here to take the frame.
These aren't easy. These look easy for most people, but these are actually nightmares for
Especially
many.
when they're straight. And I think the best way to play these is
The
to
rail.
go rail first with left hand side. So again, you're going to end up looking to, basically by doing that, you're going to come a lot wider off the black, which is going to allow you to then get over into the right hand side of the table. So he's looking to run rounds, essentially rail before the black, and then,
two
and then
rails.
back towards where the white is now. But you've got to not hit these too hard. Is he screwing though? What's he doing?
Oh, he's going to hit it thin. Try and thin it. He's shaking his head, he doesn't like it. He's actually ended up okay.
It's fine. It's a very potable line. So I think that's it. I think the shot we're talking about, the risk with that is if you catch it a fraction thick or thin, it can drastically change the final position of the white. So often, a lot to be said for just sinking the ball and giving yourself that look at the 9.
You catch it fatter than that, you've got a longer shot, and too thin, you end up behind the 9. No, he's overcut it.
He just hasn't looked
Dear,
as most
dear.
confident on his mid to long range potting tonight, Paul. Unfortunately, body language almost suggested before he even played that he didn't quite fancy it. So.
Well, that was what that head shake was for. He didn't want to leave himself long, did he? He wanted a nice easy 9 to get himself into the game, and kind of fretted when he saw the fact that it was long. He thought, oh, why did I do this?
I think that's it, and it's often because in 9-ball you often are looking for quite precise positional shots to stitch your run out together. It's easy to get hung up on that, and a lot of the time, we do have to remember that the potting is a little bit simpler on these tables, and a lot to be said for just giving yourself a look and backing yourself to pot it.
That's a lovely punishment dished out there from Darwin, however. That's how you do it. 3-0 to him, Paul Blackler.
It's a long way back now for Paul, and he's going to need to start making a couple of those ones that he's missing if he wants to get back into this.
The players got entrance music now.
Burst of music midway through the match, just looking for some mid-match inspiration.
Maybe Paul asked somebody to just play a few notes. I need to hear something. Yeah, with that Oceanias, sorry we're not reading these out. We've been kind of engrossed in the actual game, but we should be reading comments out. Would the Oceanias be played in New Zealand? Because of the fact that we're better off as far as COVID's concerned?
Yeah, I don't know too much myself about how the scheduling works. I'm pretty sure last year's event was in Auckland. I'm not sure if that was one of the ones that was kind of scheduled on and then got cancelled or postponed, so I'm not quite sure.
Oh, he's gone and off the break again. Would you believe it? Rotten luck continues.
But no, we're definitely hoping to send a few of us up for the national 9-ball and 10-ball, as well as hopefully the Oceania 9 and 10-ball as well. Like John's commented there that Paul on the 9-foot tables is back on the rise in Canterbury, and we've got a few players getting better and getting stronger. So hopefully at the upcoming national and Oceania events, whether this year or next year, hopefully we're well represented and competing well in those events too, not just turning up to participate.
you're not just turning up to make the numbers up, but you're actually there to have a decent shot at winning it. But yeah, the point that I was making before the end of that triples game was that even though obviously COVID sucks, to put it plainly, it was excellent for live streamed pool, and when you had to social distance and you had to actually play against each other in your own house, that you'd have a stream going, you'd play in your own house, and then you'd play a person in their house, and you'd stream the two games, and then that would catch on even when you didn't have to social distance. You could play in the same arena, and of course anybody who was watching what Mike was doing when he came up with 8 alter egos and pretty much played it. How's he missed that?
Does he miscued that? I think slightly. It sounded like a
That sounded tinny, yeah.
And it all probably arose from the shot before that, where he just left himself a little bit shorter on that 9 than where he wanted to be. But in saying that, I mean, it's he's just miscued, missed that one quite poorly.
Excuses, doesn't it?
Well, that's it though. It's just it's often that little bit of doubt or frustration that's in your mind before you play that shot, because you know you didn't get the posse before it wrong. So Paul can manufacture a bank here, and
he's usually really good at those, so to see him miss one of those, he mustn't be feeling it. But yeah, you yourself came up with 8 alter egos and effectively played yourself, didn't you? That was really fun to watch.
oh, thanks, John. It was a lot of fun to play, and I mean, there was definitely sanity was a question during that one.
Both players have got it bad now. Each of them have missed, what, 2 shots in a row each?
Got the yips a wee bit, and it's funny old game often with just Q sports in general. You know, sometimes it only takes potting a couple of good balls to get some momentum and get your tail up, and equally on the other hand, and it only takes sort of one bad mistake to get you suddenly questioning everything you're doing and struggling. So, oh, and geez, it's just continuing.
Is he going to get lucky though? Has that got the legs? Yes.
Wow, what a break.
Again, we will ignore how he potted that.
There might be just the little bit of luck he needs to turn things around. You know, he was obviously feeling a bit up against the wall and like things weren't happening. So hopefully he can just get a good cue through this one and start getting some confidence back.
And I like what he's done. He's taken a bit of extra time over that. He's not just got straight back down to it. He's given himself a chance to absorb what's happened and then refocus. Gee, did he get a good cue through it or what? That needs to either stop or get there and bounce. That's just about right, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's a great angle. I'd be happy with that. It's a great result. I'm not sure it was in full control, to be honest. I think the way he almost put too much cue through that, and it. Let's see what he does here.
Run off a few rails. It's not straight enough to just play through, is it?
I think if you play it slow, it is going to slide a lot straighter. So I think I'd be inclined here to just run that through with top, drop it in pocket weight. Just give yourself a look on the 9. Don't overthink it.
Just like that, and he's pretty much straight.
Just say a few words, just hello to everyone.
Just wait till after this one.
So this would be to open as a count up in the match. Dearly needed. Oh, he's done it again.
Just see the
The
body
extra
language.
feathers. You need
Confidence.
to get up and look at it again.
Oh, that's a poor miss on the 9, unfortunately, and Paul really needed that to get back into the match at 3-1, and while he hasn't left it easy,
Well, he's left it, hasn't he? That's the main
he's left
part.
a chance, and it's a chance he should never have been given.
Just amazing how ugly the game looks when you're not feeling it.
Yeah, and that's a great 9 ball to take out the frame in a 4-0 lead. So crucial mistake from Paul there. That was his chance to get back in the match, and he hasn't taken it, unfortunately. So just while we're between frames here, we've just had a couple of the Filipino boys pop down to keep us honest and make sure the commentary is not too biased. So I'm actually just going to jump off for a sec. I'm just going to jump in and say a couple of words.
No pressure, by the way.
Yes, it's not pressure on playing, but it's pressure, you know, on the mic. So it's good to watch the game over Kiwis, Canterbury, and Filipino. You know, lucky we don't have opponent John Sonderkak. He's playing really good. So he's on the commentator this time. So that's gonna be a pressure for us. I thought John's is playing for 9 balls as well, but.
I don't really play much 9 ball, to be honest, John, so you'd still beat me quite easily, I'd imagine, playing 9 ball.
Oh, that's fine.
That's your game, this is your game, man.
Because we're on one team, right? Still,
yeah, we play for the Cobras.
Cobras. We're playing on the same team in the Canterbury League.
Yeah, the Interclub,
Interclub,
which is played on 7-foot tables with different rules to these.
Yeah, I'd just like to say hi to this Filipino guys over there watching us on this event. So thanks for watching. Maraming salamat.
I must learn some Filipino myself. I've got a Filipino co-worker. I need to hit him up for some tips.
So like magandang gabi o mabuti ka. So like maganda gabi, like good evening, something like that. So it's just like those just like a simple words to greet, you know?
You always start simple and then expand, don't you? Oh, that's a lovely shot. Managed to get that stop on the white ball too to keep it nice for the 4. And he's got the split so the balls are nice and wide open. But I know Como esta, being the general hello,
Yeah.
and I know that Hindi means no.
Hindi, yes, that means it's no.
And that's about it, really.
Just can pull C5 or
I think he can.
you can.
I think he's just taking a little bit more time because of the fact that he's lucky he hasn't made it worse. I'm wondering if he can because he's taken a while.
I think he can.
It's taking longer than I would expect for a ball that would be on. He didn't cue that very well, did he? He just kind of smacked at it rather than cueing through the ball. He kind of cued at it. So you've got quite a few of your family and friends in the Philippines watching, do you?
Yeah, just get some friends from Philippines watching, probably from all over Philippines.
Snooker, and it's not a bad one either. If you don't like it, then you don't have to pot it. There's always that option in these rules.
How many viewers do we get now, John?
13, I believe, at the moment, but with you guys sharing it on Facebook, then you get quite a few in the Philippines. And even some Filipino Kiwis who may want to watch you guys play, they'd be watching it on Facebook rather than on YouTube, because it's a bit easier to watch stuff on Facebook.
So only to get this back in the 5, like, you know, and I could open it's gonna be here and hide the 5 or the white ball.
he needs to get something to go his way, doesn't he? He's hit the 5 and then you just hope you get a snooker or you leave him a tough shot because everything's going against him. He just wants that one shot to go his way at this point.
He's got 5 balls left, but every ball's left was just on the centre of the table line, so everything's there.
Oh, hello, out comes the jump cue. First time we've seen him use it in this match. What's happened there? I didn't actually see the path of that, did it?
I think he missed the first jump and it hits to the rail and comes back and hit the 5.
Oh, okay. So he actually...
So they go shots,
Yeah, so he didn't touch the 7. Oh,
No,
okay.
he didn't. So he missed the first one, then he hit the rail, comebacks and hit the 5. And it was a good look at it.
It was a full snooker, so... Often when you do jump a ball, you have to be careful that you don't put too much on it and you end up jumping the white ball off the table or it bounces off the table. See what he's got his phone out, he's about to take a photo of us.
This was a good safety by Darwin, Dulay. He's from North Island in the Philippines, Pangasinan. So he's good player, but he just come back playing like few weeks ago, like last week.
Oh, so he had a fairly long break.
The last one that he played was the South Island Teen Bulls in Dunedin, and after that he was just stopped playing and playing basketball. Now he's come back for just practicing just last week, but yeah. So
Hasn't lost it,
good.
has he? Oh, that was not a million miles away.
Was close.
We get a bit of luck. He might have done. It's pretty close to being suctioned onto the white ball. Awkward wee shot. He's going to go for the snooker as he just run up, park the white ball behind the black. This could be a foul. It may not reach the rail. If you don't reach the rail, it's a ball in hand. It's the first one of those we've seen in this KiwiPino Cup.
It's gonna be an easy finish with a ball. Everything is on there.
He needs to make it, so don't leave anything even semi-hard because he's still not really got much confidence. So if he can travel this roadmap as intended, then get this frame and he'll get just that little bit of confidence back. And you know often in your experience how one frame can easily turn into 2 or 3.
Yeah. Even if it was down 4, is that 4-0 at the moment?
He's 4-0 down, yeah.
4-0 now.
Just something that we do need to remember is to remind the viewers of the score. Unfortunately, we do not have Q score available, so we must verbally remind players of the score, or the people watching, should I say.
There's a good angle from the 6 to 7.
It's just a sort of stun shot, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, same bit on the same way. Just like that.
Well, the 8's so close to that corner pocket that it's semantics, isn't it? To try and get closer to it, you'd best just to pop off the rail, just be off angle, and
If he's all confident, he can play this with 3 rails and get closer to the black, like on the spot side. But yeah, you can do like bring the white ball just in the center. That's fine.
Oh, he's going
It's
3
going
rails.
through, yeah. But it's not
No,
hard
that's
enough.
about the. I'd imagine that's about the worst place you could leave it. He's got the angle, yes, but that's a long pot with a fair bit of angle. So that this white ball's just going to travel. He needs to find some way of corralling that. Oh, he did drop it. Looked
Oh,
like he
it's-
played it with left.
Yeah,
Is it to
it's
try and
too
check
fine.
the white ball up? He just needs to hit this with confidence.
Mm.
Just one, there's only one goal here, pot this. Much better.
He's on the
Right
board
into the
with
back
four.
of the pocket, he gets a foothold in the match. So 4-1 still to Darwin, but Paul ensuring that he will get at least one more frame.
No, it's okay. I got nothing to say now, so I'm just gonna thanks again to those viewers from the Philippines all over the world, or New Zealand, all the Filipinos is watching, and yeah, thanks for everyone and all the Kiwis friends. It's
Well,
all yours.
You've got plenty of them here, John. So Mike, or Miguel Hayes has slipped into the chair next to me.
Thanks, John. Good to be back, and just thanks again to John for jumping on and joining in with the commentary. It's great to have a couple of the guys from the Filipino side of it. Just add their thoughts and knowledge as well. So they've probably got a lot more knowledge on this game than we do. So cheers to John, and well done to Paul getting a frame on the board and getting back into the game. So 4-1 down, he's still right up against it, and probably still rowing that easy 90 miss, because it'll be 3-2 in a completely different ball game. But he's still scrapping nonetheless.
Over that though, is there?
Oh, absolutely
You're
not.
still
I
in
mean,
the
I
match,
can
that's
ruminate
all you
about
need.
it, but he doesn't want to be.
That's all you've got to be thinking about now. You're still in the match, so this is a new frame, a new opportunity. This is looking dry, unfortunately. Although it's a bit ugly.
Yeah, with that 2, I was resting on the
Clusters
4
of
there.
balls.
That's helped him out a lot. So at least he shouldn't be feeling too threatened his first visit. But it'll be interesting to see what happens really in terms of getting from the 1 to the 2, and what are we going to do on that 2.
I'd imagine he caught this, try and get close-ish, or well, he hasn't, but the point still stands. I reckon he'll be looking for a snooker here.
Just wondering how he's going to achieve it more than
Touch
anything.
shot. Does it go behind the 4?
Yeah, and it's not always about getting the circle. I guess if it's not there, just making sure that you kill that 2 and leave it somewhere niggly. And he gave himself half a chance of sliding the white in behind that 7, but some of the football here, I imagine he'll just be trying to clip that 2 down to the centre of the bottom rail and flick the white back in behind those balls up the top.
It's like he went for it.
Yeah, it's a bit of an interesting option. I genuinely
Either that,
think
or he wanted to leave the cue ball more towards the centre of the table and maybe get behind the 8. And he just hit it wrong. And of course it looks so wrong when you end up straight on the 2 like that, but even so you still have to be thinking, okay, what was he trying to do? Rather than what he did do, which just looked wrong in the end.
It doesn't look like he's got too much angle on this one. He might be able to manufacture just enough to flick around for the 3 though. Oh, he's tried to come off the rail first to make the angle, so that tells you how straight it was.
Yeah, he's
Just left that 2 to
hit
the
the rail
centre.
far too close to the ball. Didn't actually give it a chance to come off the rail into the correct potting angle.
Yeah, and you especially have to remember on these tables that the white it's going to slide that much sort of finer off the rail when you're coming into them from a fine angle like that. So you're right, you have to catch the rail quite a lot earlier than the ball in those situations. There's a chance here for Paul to get another frame further back into the match. Tough starter. Slotted it, no worries. So just needs to roll through here on the 1 and just get himself into that gap between the 7 and the 6 for 4. Now, ideally, he just doesn't want to land dead straight on that 4. That's the risk here. And I guess what makes it risky is if you're trying to push a little bit low or high of straight to give yourself a bit of angle, you start bringing the 6 and the 7 into play. So I guess what looks like a pretty routine shot, you still need to be a little bit more careful about.
Well, you need to be zoning in on exactly where you want that white ball and pick a place and play it to get the white ball there. That looks quite straight.
Yeah,
It's probably straighter than he would have liked, unless he can manufacture just enough.
I think what I would have looked to have done on that 3 would have just been to kind of play a bit of a, not a full top spin, but sort of like a bit of a low top spin, sort of a punchy top one so that you get a bit wider on contact, and then he probably would have been able to run past that 7 on the right hand side of it and leave himself just a natural fine cut back on that 4 to the corner with the white opening out for the 5, but I'm not sure here if he's going to have to try and draw back through the gap or if he's just going to try and punch to the side a little bit and
I think
take the long
looks
pass.
like a side punch. Oh no, he did draw straight back and he's got the split that he didn't want.
I think with the position the balls are in, he was probably better off just keeping things tight really, but at the same time I guess when you're 4-1 down, sometimes you kind of feel like your only way back in the match is to absolutely go for it, so I'm not going to knock him for having a go here at this point because he probably knows he's going to need something to get back into this match.
Yeah, you do tend to go hell for leather when it seems like there's nothing else to lose. It's not like your thought process goes by the wayside, but you tend towards the more extreme type of shots, don't you, to try and keep yourself still at the table.
Well, I think that's it. If you want to win 4 frames on the bounce against a good player, you've got to play well and you've got to put them under pressure, and the only way to do that is just to be running out. So I think at that stage you just need to take the positive options. Don't get me wrong, every player is different. Some of us are more comfortable with playing a more conservative frame, and some might go that direction. But I think I know a lot of the guys who, if their back's up against the wall, they're not going to die wondering. They're going to give it a go and try and make something of it to get out of there.
Just have a lash, as it were. Just like Paul did there, even though that was a shot that he is admittedly quite good at and will take on in almost any match situation. That's not quite ended up as he would have liked, so I don't think if he had that shot again, I'm pretty sure he'd take the same option. He'd still go for the double, but a lot of players in that situation would have played a more conservative shot, maybe gone for a snooker of some type.
That's well played.
That's beautiful.
It would be an easy one to kind of dig into a little bit too much and overscrew it, but he's played that perfect.
Just had enough of that subtlety about it, didn't it? There's a lot of subtlety in this game. It's not just all smack it and watch the white ball whiz around the table. It's just hitting it in just the right place to get that little bit of movement one way or another to end up right where you need to make your next shot as easy as you can get it.
Just wonder here if he'll look to send it, play the 3 rails around the table, or just keep it simple for the middle. Yep.
So I imagine would be pretty close to pocket weight, would it? Or no, he's jacking up on it.
Punch in a stop shot, play it positive.
That's a shot that I don't like myself, but if you're good at it, then why not?
I always feel like I'm more likely to miscue than smack it off the rail, but there you have it.
So 5 frames to 1, the score of Darwin Dulay over Paul Blackler, and the Pino side get a win on the board. It is 1 each. I'll hand you back over to Watty.
Bloody nines again, eh? Where'd Oggy go? One all.
Hey?
1 all.
What is it? Race to five.
1 all.
What is it? Race to...
Oh, overall, there's 3 matches tonight, 3 matches tomorrow night, and then 4 matches. So it could actually be a draw. Can it? No. No, it can't be. There's 3. Yeah, it can. It can be a draw, and it's captain's choice.
We'll have to play again anytime soon? Or
Huh?
we'll have to play again anytime soon, or next week? Or...
Bench. No. Well, we'll hopefully get some more of these things going when we do like an over 50s, under 50s, something like that. I mean, a bit of fun, eh? Come on the roof. Well, a bit more morning, actually. Over 60s, under 60s. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worldwide audience. Kiwis 1, Pinos 1, it's 1 all. So the last singles match for the night, we have all the way from the Philippines, residing in Christchurch, Captain John Carreon. And a stalwart of Canterbury 9 ball who's been playing for many, many years and gives a lot of himself to encourage other players. I think this will be an awesome match. 2 great players. Brent Og, the Kiwi. Good luck, guys, for Brent. No, tomorrow. There's 2 singles tonight, 2 singles. Tomorrow and 3 singles. Scotch tomorrow, 2 singles.
Who won the leg there, Mikey? I had my head down for a moment.
Oh, sorry, I was just looking at all the technical bits and pieces we're getting to go together here. So, someone's won leg, someone's about to break. Top-notch commentary from myself as usual. But
Can we rewind that?
I've got to just recover, just following on. Looks like John's won the leg. He's racking up. So, John's won the leg. John to break first. And yeah, so everything's 1 each on the overall scorecard after that last result. So. This is the final match for tonight between John and Brent. Winner of this, their team will take a 2-1 lead heading into tomorrow. So big game already, just in terms of getting the team on the front foot going into day 2, and probably the pick of the matches tonight as well. You know, as what he said there, you know, John and Brent both 2 of the top players around here. Really, no arguments at all. They've played and had success in a lot of events, and I think we saw them both looking quite good in the pairs, or sorry, in the triples at the start. So looking forward to seeing what they do in the singles.
Just about potted the 9 off the break. That got me really excited.
Oh, geez, that was close. That would have been a heck of a start, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's an instant win, isn't it? Not very many games when you can win playing 1 shot.
So Brent wouldn't be surprised if he's taking on the bank here. He loves a bank. He's just got a little bit loose on that one, but
Over exuberance, isn't
he'll
it?
stick to his guns. He'll go for his shots every day of the week, because that's the strength of his game. And if it's 50-50 on the safety and the attacking shot, you pretty much count on him going for it. So interesting to see what John does here. Probably just going to
Finish and go for safety, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the only thing you've got to watch there is that top corner pocket. If he goes full thin, he might just catch it full, send it back down the table. Keep the white there. Not a
You know the
full
white.
snaker,
You
but
know the white there is going to leave it tough shot anyway, don't you?
Not a bad result from there, not a full snooker, but a tough leave nonetheless.
It's okay, isn't it? It's what you call it, it's okay. That wasn't far off, but he has left that on. That's the unfortunate and the flip side about having a go is that you miss it. There's every chance you will leave it on. So Jun will get the first decent attacking shot of this frame.
Not quite the best angle on that one. He's probably a little bit shorter than straight than he'd like, but he should be able to just run through off the cushion near that middle pocket. Back out to the centre. Nicely judged.
And
has he got the angle to stun or draw for the 4, or will he need to go through with top of 2 rails to get on the 4 here?
I think you'd go top here. No, it looks like he's
Might be punching through
it's a
with left
punch,
side.
yeah.
Oh, no. So there's
Get
so many
into it
different
enough
ways to go about it and getting your posse and discuss all the options here, but at the end of the day, whatever shot the player likes the look of or gets the job done is the right shot.
You can get into that enough to not going off, to make that ball hold its line just enough, and then to come off the rail pretty much straight for the position. It's a gain of skill, isn't it? You need to be able to practice that shot to get it right.
Great chance here now to take out this frame as long as he gets a good angle on the 7 for the 8. Can't see any issues here.
Well, the only pressure is that which you put on yourself, isn't it? So Jun would have to be assured that he's going to end up with an angle on the 7. It doesn't matter which one, either one is fine. Just don't leave yourself too straight.
Oh, and what we were just talking about, leaving yourself a bit straight, he might end up having to play on the short side of the black and play it back across the table. See
There's a
if he's
bit of
got enough
angle here. I reckon he'll
Still
try and
enough to stun
force
out.
this a little bit. Yeah, just like that.
That's it, he's tried to make the angle, so just like John was touching on, he just needed to give himself any angle, but in fact he got a wee bit straight, and we expected him to clean up from there, and he's given Brent another chance. A tough chance at that though. This is going to require a very good pot just to get going, and if he makes it, he's probably going to have another tricky shot on the 8.
Yeah. Well, that shot that John played looked so easy, but you have to remember that you are looking for that precision position almost, aren't you? So if you're just off that natural position that you're going to get, then you do have to do something different, and that's a lovely shot from Brent. That needs to will up though.
The 8 is still there, with the size of these pockets. This cut is still quite
Doubles
makeable.
past
But
the 9
it's,
as well.
Brent does
Going
have
for
a
a
bank,
double.
bit of side to straighten it.
No,
He's
and
going to
that
get away with it.
could be fine though. He's going to get a
John's
result out of
John's
it.
got the same shot pretty much that Brent just had, slightly different angle, but it'll be interesting to see whether he takes on the bank or whether he goes for a different safety.
He's going for a safety. He's looking to thin this.
Yeah.
Run
Where's the
quite
cue ball going?
9. Is he going to go enough? No, he's okay.
Wow. He hasn't covered it though. Brent does have a shot here. That was very close to being costly. Now makes the shot that much tougher for Brent, and that he's got to cue out of the pocket like this.
Yeah, that's nasty because that buggers with your ability to see down the cue properly, doesn't it? You almost have to stand up a little bit to actually see the line down the cue.
Oh, and he's made it. Just pulls up, still got the cut to the corner. A little bit finer than he'd like, but still very makeable.
I think off the back of that previous shot, he wouldn't mind being there. He just made a nice 8, now he just needs to carry that through onto the 9.
That's it. As long as you lean towards the near jaw side here, you've got not too much risk. he might be lining up a bank.
Well,
I
so
know
he's
Brent's
actually-
good at banks, but I'm just going to
This is
disagree
like
with that
wild,
option
but
there.
yeah.
The cut was the shot every day of the week there.
Again, he's gotten a little bit lucky though. It's just as you said before, how you love a particular shot, but you end up living and dying by it. Rather than just taking the percentage option, you almost default to the bank or to the shot that's riskier, even if you are good at it. Sometimes you, as we said before, you can end up getting bitten by it.
Well, he's got another opportunity to make amends for the first couple of missed banks and maybe try and slot one here.
Well, this one's screaming for a bank. This is different. Could have played a cut shot before, but this one screams bank me. No point trying to cut it because that's just nasty.
I don't think he's interested in lining up and playing safe. He's turned that down the last couple of opportunities.
Does he get 3 over?
This
Has
time,
it got the
It's going to get
legs? Yes!
That's what we've just talked about. He's had a couple of cracks at it and missed out, and then he's had a third crack and got lucky and made it. So I guess you make your own
Next
luck.
week
If
it's
you have enough cracks,
Timble.
you're going to make it eventually.
Well, you need to, if you roll the dice enough, you will roll a 6.
No, that's the
Yeah, I
one.
definitely think the second one he went for though when he had that opportunity to cut the 9 in the corner. I absolutely feel he should have cut that one every day of the week. But at the end of the day, the first frame is on the board to Brent and he leads 1-0 over John.
This is that funny part of the game, isn't it? When a poor choice of shot doesn't bite you, you do come back for another shot at it. I think so often you play a shot like that and you don't get to see the table for the rest of that frame. You just sat there watching him finish or her finish. So this is the flip side where you do play a poor shot but you do get another shot.
Not the best break there. Didn't look like the best split even, and he's left the 1 there for John. So 2's a wee bit covered, so it's just going to need a good shot here from John to get on for that 2. I wonder if he might.
Past the 8. Hard to say.
I think it does. I think it will. So I wonder if he might almost try and screw this with a bit of right to play the 2 rails and actually send him the white at the 3. Or is he going up and down?
Jeez, that's a lot of traffic to work through.
Yeah, I don't think.
He's ended up stepping on a landmine there.
I think I would have gone the other way about it myself. I think we're playing that with a little bit of bottom and right and going the other direction around the table. The white's just naturally got a little bit more momentum on it. You're not having to force it so much. If you're kind of playing towards the area of that 3, you know, you might end up on or just contact it and leave the 2 on. But tough shot now, and I'm not sure if that's the best range to jump. This white, even if it gets over the 3, it's going to be bouncing when it hits the 2.
He didn't even get enough, did he? Yeah, it was gonna. There's a chance it was just going to hump over the 2, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or ride it.
Yeah, very difficult when you've got a short landing zone after a reasonable jump, just to get the cue ball back on the table. Really,
You're almost trying to make as small a jump as possible so that the bounce after the jump hits the ball flush. Ricky Wang, who is actually one of the players who will be featured in this event, he's playing tomorrow. Oh yes, there we go, singles. Brent's banking is a bit off today, unusual. Well, you certainly know him better than I do, Ricky, and as Mike's alluded to several times, he loves his banks, and today he hasn't quite been getting them, so maybe he'll be looking for option B if there's ever the opportunity.
tell you what though, it's a funny thing sometimes having the camera on you as well. I can absolutely recall the first couple of times I was playing in streamed events with the camera on, and it just kind of in the back of your mind you're just subtly aware that there's an audience and a few people watching, and you want to play some flashy shots to impress them, but obviously you should be 100% focused on the result first and foremost. Yeah, poor miss on that one from Brent actually. So yeah, perhaps affecting a few of the players a bit more tonight than we give them credit for. It's always easy when we're sitting here on the commentary or watching on the
So
stream
easy to criticise
to think,
when you're
oh, I should have
playing.
made that. But yeah, as soon as there's something riding on it and a few people watching, it always just gets that little bit tougher.
I like playing on stream. I actually tend to play better when I'm on stream because I concentrate more.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'd agree. Like I feel like now I'm at a point where it would be the same. I relish the challenge, and I think it makes me think, all right, there's some people watching, so I've at least got to give a good account of myself more than anything. But absolutely, I can recall at first it was a bit of a new pressure that took some adjusting to, and I guess in Canterbury, while we've had the streaming matches running on the 7-foot pool scene for quite a few years now, it's still very new for a lot of the guys.
Stop.
9-foot, and he's overscrewed that, hasn't he?
Sorry to jump in, but
No, absolutely. It's looking routine, but he's absolutely gotten into that white too much, and it's what was looking like a good chance to finish has suddenly got a lot tougher. I don't know if he can still just make that 7 or.
you can see it. You can see the edge of it. Maybe he's going to just jack up and play a subtle swerve shot again, like he did it.
Just a bit of left and just shape around the
I
nine
think
slightly.
in the triples he played a shot just like that. This one I think he'll need a little bit more swerve on though. You see he's jacking up more to get more of a
He
swing.
couldn't face double it. He's hit the 9, wow, but he's hit a decent chunk of the 9, so.
He's swerved too early, hasn't it? Or he's got the line wrong to start with.
I wonder if it was a bit of indecision, because after deliberating on that a bit, he looked like he played it quite quickly, and I wonder if he wasn't just fully committed to the shot he chose in the end.
It's like he didn't know which island he wanted to land on. He ended up in the sea. Thank you very much yourself, John, for watching. Just be talking to ourselves without an audience. I'm glad you're one of them.
Nicely done, Brent. You left that 8th a little bit trickier than he possibly intended, so, but no, he wanted the angle to run down for the 9. Great chance here.
Forget the fact that you're off angle, just pot it.
What is going on tonight?
Okay, and again, we've seen some horrible misses, and we're also seeing some decent luck after bad misses. Brent in particular has been getting really lucky with his leaves, especially on the 9 ball, going for shots that we don't think he should be, or shots where obviously he has to and it's gone wrong, but not leaving John anything nice.
I'm tempted to just go run out of the commentary booth and run upstairs and
Shake him.
just go give Brent a couple of words. Well,
Oh, what a
team
cut.
mates, but That's a great cut. That would be biased commentary.
Get in. That's how you punish it.
Wow, so great 9 from John, but yeah, poor miss from Brent. So yeah, still seeing a bit of a mixed bag out there, guys. Some top shots, but yeah, some uncharacteristic mistakes as well, and yeah, perhaps just a sign of a bit of early season rust and a bit of additional pressure from having the stream going on.
Well, how often has Brent been practicing though? Is it? I mean, you're saying early season rust, but if you have been practicing before the season starts, do you really get rusty?
Well, I mean, there's no substitute. I mean, you can practice till the cows come home and get your cueing going great on the practice table, but it's always completely different when it comes into a match situation, and that's the challenge all of us face really, is that, you know, can we translate a good practice game into a good match game, and a lot of us need match sharpness to be able to do that, so we'll cut the guys a little bit of slack here. And he's my teammate in this. I am playing in this event. I'm trying to remain neutral, but I'm definitely trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here. Hopefully that's not coming through too much in the commentary.
Well, something that John's hit on, he's basically just expanded on the point that we've made, and it is one thing that we have seen a lot of and not really mentioned too much, is the fact that the players haven't been keeping their heads down on some shots, or they've kind of moved it to the side like their timing's out, or maybe they're feeling pressure, or maybe they haven't been practicing. Maybe there's any number of reasons why that can happen.
Well, see, this is something that we touched on a little bit earlier when we spoke about some of the technical differences, and like I said, myself coming from a snooker background, there's it's obviously just a little bit tighter and more compact and controlled, the technique, and it's what I'm angling at here is not necessarily that everybody should be adopting that technique, but I just tend to think that some of the guys from more of that background have a slightly more detailed sort of pre-shot routine and process for potting the ball. I think sometimes some of these guys have got the looser action and setup. They perhaps don't quite have the same pre-shot routine, and I think definitely when it comes to pressure pull and pressure situations, that's where you don't want to be just relying on natural ability. You want to have a clear process and routine that that if I go through that process and tick those boxes, that ball will get in that hole. And I think that's something that's really important to fall back on pressure shots. And maybe a few of the guys tonight could do with maybe just adding a little bit more of that into their games.
Oh, hello. I thought he might try that.
Yeah, it's a great
Brilliant.
shot from John. Good vision and great execution.
2-1 to John Carreon. That was a lovely shot. It's a great advertisement for the game too when you see players actually playing that shot, because of course that you can win if you pot the 9 on a legal shot, but you so often don't see it because it's quite a low percentage shot in many cases. That time it was more natural, and John took it on and got full reward for it.
The other risk as well with playing that shot is, especially when you do have to play it at a slower weight like that, is you run the risk of leaving the 9 hanging over the bag if you don't quite make it. And obviously if you do that in this game, you then give your opponent a great chance to make an early combo and take the 9 as well. So definitely an element of risk for that. So brave shot and great execution. Good break from Brent though, so good chance to fire straight back here. Everything's looking pretty open too.
Yeah, that's split nicely.
I don't think you could
Learned
ask for
from
a
the
much better
previous
break
poor
from that.
break. That must have been the coach in you coming out before too, because of course you do coaching as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always going to creep through a little bit into my commentary, and I must admit
that's fine, because you do give great points on the finer aspects of the game that a lot of people would miss.
Yeah, I mean,
which you can often only get from a person who actually coaches.
Well, that's why I've very much enjoyed getting into 9-ball in the last couple of years, because while I've got a long history of playing pool and snooker, and I'm pretty comfortable on the knowledge I've learned and I'm sharing with that. I mean, I'm still learning a massive amount with this game. That's why I'm enjoying watching and playing as much as possible, and obviously have my own theories from my background, but it's nice learning the 9-ball side as well, and being able to sort of pick and choose bits and pieces from both games and blend them together. But as John has owed in the background, while I was waffling away again, another unforced error from Brent.
He was filthy with himself too. The way he picked up the magic rack and hung it on the wall, almost tore it off. He almost tore the top of it, hanging it on the wall. Sometimes when players who do get angry, you will see a little bit of emotion. Some players will audibly show their displeasure with themselves, and some will bang the table, and some are just cool in any situation. They've just played the most horrible shot you'll ever watch them play, and they just say, oh well. But John very quickly has opened up a 3-1 lead here on Brent, just while we've both been talking about all sorts of different things. So now Brent's in a similar situation to what Paul was in before, except for the fact that he's probably playing a little bit better than Paul was, but still in the hole all the same.
Yeah, Brent will be frustrated because he's hit plenty of good shots, but as we all know in Key Sports, you can play 5 or 6 of the best shots of your life, but if you throw in a mistake afterwards, they become worthless, and it's pretty frustrating stuff. So it's always at the top level. It's a game of misses as much as it's a game of making shots. So it's, I think what all the guys just need to work on at the moment is just sharpening up a little bit and just trying to cut out a couple of those misses that are costing guys frames.
This is a good opportunity to actually get yourself into playing for the year too, isn't it? Obviously you want to play your best now, but you are kind of building your game up, aren't you? When you this early in the year, you want to make a good account of yourself all the same, but you do know that you want to. This is like it's the starting point for the year. This is what you build on what you've done. Like anything bad that you've done, you can learn from it. You've got the added ability to watch yourself back on stream if you want to, and if you notice yourself making mistakes, then you can pick up on those and do a bit of self-criticism, and then you can perhaps video yourself when you practice or even when you play and compare yourself to then, especially if you're playing well in the future compared to now, then pick up on what you've done better now than what you did when you were playing on stream the first time.
No, absolutely, John. It's a good point, and I equally like the point you made about it just being early on, and I think it's something that it's important that people recognise things like that in their own mind, you know, before they're playing.
He didn't get unlucky, did he? No.
That it is early season, and just adjusting the expectations accordingly, because if it's literally your first competitive event for the year and you've just had a summer off, can you reasonably expect to be playing your best ball? I mean, you know, we all know we might have a good day and do it, but I think a lot of the time just managing your expectations for where you're at, and like you say, just trusting that it's early in the season, we've still got plenty of time to build the form. I think you take a lot of pressure off yourself by doing that, and
you just still don't want to make that excuse for yourself, do you? That's underhit by a long way.
I don't think it's an excuse though, John. I think it's a fact more than anything.
Yeah.
Literally, if you haven't played very much pool for a few months, you're not going to be playing as sharp as if you've been playing competitive pool solidly for a few months. So, again, I'm not saying we should look for excuses, but it's I think it's just managing expectations a little bit sometimes can take pressure off you.
Well, there's another bank missed. You were bang on there, Ricky. This time I think he's gotten away with the... Has it just pulled up short of the snooker?
Well, I didn't like that. It looked like a frustrated one. He looked like, while he went for the bank, he looked like he took it a bit casual, was up early, but frustrated. It's probably just the frustration of getting the positional shot before it wrong, and probably equally knowing that he's made mistakes in previous frames that have cost him. It just looks like it's compounding on Brent a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, but equally, I think that's when you need that extra bit of focus, maybe to take that extra few seconds and just say to yourself, okay, well, I've messed up my position, but I've still got a pot here. If I have a look at this and just cue it the way I know I can, and I can still make a pot and get myself back to where I want to be.
Dead right, but it's funny, I mean,
it's always easier to say
so easy here when we're just watching the match. It's
never lose one from here.
Why didn't you just sink every ball with perfect position and clear the table, Brent?
Because I'm not God.
If it was that easy, we'd all be doing it. So definitely just want to measure our criticism a little bit, because unfortunately that's the job description when we're commentating, is to call the shots and what they've done when they do them well, and equally.
Oh, hello, he might get one. Yes.
Awesome.
What a time to get a bank.
Stuck to his guns.
Well, those guns have served him well, haven't they?
Exactly.
Been misfiring slightly tonight, but this time he rifles one straight into the middle of the pocket.
I'm a big believer in that, just because you're missing shots doesn't necessarily mean you're taking the wrong options. I've heard people say, oh, you should have done that, or you shouldn't have hit it so hard when I miss a certain shot, but half the time there was nothing wrong with that option, it was just your execution. So sometimes you just got to execute better, and well done there, Brent. He's
3-2 now.
Made a good bank to get himself back in it.
Yes, I think there's a bit of ignorance, isn't there, when you there's players watching your game and you've played a shot that looks bad, but you know yourself it was the right shot. It just looked wrong because you played it incorrectly, and the uglier it looks, often the worse it looks for you that it was the wrong shot. But if you actually have a look at what the person was trying to achieve versus what they achieved or didn't, then you see where the mind is, you see where the processes go, and okay, this is what I was trying to do, it was good, but I just played the shot wrong and it looked ugly.
Right, so let's see how this break goes. He's got the 2 in the corner. And is he going to get a look at that 1 to the middle? No, the
3 says no. 3 pretty much slammed the door on that, didn't it?
It's another tight spread. There's actually been a couple in this match where off the break there's just been bunches and haven't left it quite as straightforward. So at least that might give Brent a little bit of security that if he doesn't quite get this right, it's going to be a tough run out for John. But see if he can manufacture something.
Tried to give the old boot up the bum.
Yeah.
Which is again another shot that he's good at, but just like the bank, apart from that last one, which is a beauty, the banks by and large haven't been going for him. Neither has that shot. I lie on that too. He played a really good example of that shot in the triples, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean there wasn't too much he could do there. I think he would have just liked to have caught that a little bit thinner. He was really just trying to create the distance between the white and the 1, I'm sure. But nice shot from John and nice angle on the 3 as well, just to set the cue ball up to naturally run down the table for the 4.
Well, to be honest, John, I've never actually seen you play, so... Oh, that was a big pocket. It certainly looked like a big pocket. It looked like he was going to miss that by some distance, but maybe the spin he put on it, the pocket kind of sucked it in. It's like the spin off just before the jaw, it spun into the other jaw rather than spinning into the inside of the jaw rather than the jaw itself. That's how the right spin helped it go in.
So I'm curious to see which way John looks to get on the 5 here. I'm not sure if he can just make it to the corner or if looks like he's thinking about getting back the other side for the combo. So just like we touched on before with the combos, if you can fall dead straight on it or just off straight, it's a lot easier. But as soon as he leaves a little bit of angle, it gets quite tricky, and this would be a tough one to get that weight right. And
it's pretty much bang on.
Pretty good.
Maybe a little
just a fraction short.
Straight.
He probably would just want to roll another 5 or 10 mil, and this shot gets a lot easier, but still makeable.
He's not going to shirk on this though, is he? Bang! And she goes.
Almost rolled off.
Yeah, great shot.
End of discussion.
Another good combo on the 9 to take the frame and take a 4-2 lead. So, actually, if I got that score right.
4-2 indeed.
4-2
yes.
it is. So yeah, John
Carreon in the ascendancy. Lovely shot making. It's something that 9-ball provides time and time again. The players do make the game, and again, these Filipino guys, you love to watch the way that they actually make shots like that. True that, John. I know a lot of these guys from playing on the 7-foot tables with them. Some of them almost exclusively play the 9-foot game, but many of them play the 7-foot chartered club pole and the 9-ball and the 9-footers, and yeah, they're a good bunch of dudes.
I'm just going to give Brent a specific shout out there too, because Brent, while he's not a Bull Canterbury committee member or anything, I mean, he's one of the guys who probably spends the most time up in this room. He gives a lot of his time up to help maintain the room, look after tables, things like that. Stock up various supplies, and equally the other thing he's brilliant with is he always takes the time and goes out of his way to have games and share his knowledge with new members, which you know, it's just invaluable. There's a lot of great players out there who have the knowledge and don't take the time to share it. And you know, so it's the guys like Brent who do take the time to do that. You know, they've just got the passion for the game, and it's you know, our sports and communities don't grow without people like that. So it's, yeah, always an asset to have someone like Brent in the scene.
Well, here comes another jump by the look of it. This is another one of those, because the one's so close to the rail, you have to be, oh, yuck.
Neil of that. I think he definitely wanted just a flat jump on that one, and he did have plenty of space to get the white ball down and back rolling on the table before the one. Just didn't get a good contact on that really. So this is critical for Brent here really. He's 4-2 down. John's on the hill. He's got what looks like a pretty clear run at the table here.
It's the 4, isn't it? The 4's
it's just getting from
the
3 to the 4, but it's definitely there and doable. So let's hope he can capitalise on it.
Well, the good thing about where the 3 is that it's close enough to that 4-9 combo that he can get a split. The split's always an option when that occurs. It's worse, of course, when that ball is all the way down the other end of the table, then you're having to almost pull a magic shot out. But on this occasion, you don't have to do as much with it.
He just needs that to go a bit further.
Yeah,
so
he wasn't happy with that,
right.
was he?
It's not ideal. He could potentially still play load this up with right hand side, but the problem is the white's gonna die a lot off that top rail, so it might no longer be the option.
Yeah, you're always a chance of a snooker, aren't you, when you do that, because it just dies and you end up behind the 9.
Well, I think he can get enough to straighten it to come back this right side of the 4. You've just got to give it a bit more than you think, because say when that check hits the top rail, it's just going to take a lot of pace off of it. So these just need to be timed and struck very sweetly with a very soft hand to pull off. The other option, of course, if he's not confident he can do that, is to play to contact the 9 and develop the 4 towards the centre of the table. He'd just be having to hope he avoids a full ball contact on the 9.
Yeah, that's your danger, isn't it? You want a half ball contact rather than a full ball one.
I was just
Like
about
to
to
go
say
3 rails
that
and
was
get
the other
that.
option, and he's played that. And I think the longer I looked at that, I think that was absolutely the best way to play that shot. He'd run a little bit too far to be playing with right side like we talked about. So
He was very unlikely to snooker himself doing that too, wasn't he? You think worst case scenario, you play the shot with check, you snooker yourself, and then you're well and truly boned.
tough shot here though to get down for the 5. He's going to need to get near that corner pocket to miss the 9 and the 7 and get down there. Oh, he looks like he's played that beautifully.
Of course, we were discounting the possibility that that ball was actually on past the 9. I don't think either of us actually mentioned that it was on.
Oh, sorry, I thought I'd reached the conclusion in my head that it was on, but it might
in
not
your
have,
head doesn't always translate to
might
your
not
mouth.
have shared that. Keep running.
Keep running.
Oh, he might have. Oh, I think it's just straight enough that he can just drop that in and hold for the 7.
Good shot, Dory.
You could screw into the 7 just to be safe, but yeah, that's the way. Nice little touch of angle. Maybe a little bit more angle than he would have liked, but
It should still manage to get enough side on this to
I
negate
think
that,
if you
shouldn't
just
he?
play this slowly with bottom right.
Oh, he's gotten underneath it.
And again, it's, I think what we're saying again, he just looks like he's played that very quickly, so just I think a couple of instances where he hasn't quite got the posse that he's wanted. I think rather than sort of resetting and taking the time on the follow-up pot, he's just let that frustration creep in and played the next one a wee bit quick. So,
Or maybe he just
disappointing
took it
miss
for
there.
maybe he just took it for granted because of the fact that it was close to the rail like that, and you get more leeway when you're close to the rail. As far as the pot goes, you kind of take it quickly and assume it's going to go in anyway.
I guess the risky thing with the shot he was playing was the white going near the middle, and that could have distracted him from
Oh,
quite a
well
bit.
played.
It's a good shot from
Played
Jim.
that really nicely. He's not got a snooker, but that's almost as good as.
So it was a good opportunity. Brent could play a safety here, play the play the 7 to 2 rails and just try and leave the white where it is. But
Bank slash C. Oh, it's a bank all the way. Look at this.
Oh,
And off the jaw, lovely.
He's missed a couple of banks earlier and they've cost him matches. He's made a couple of big ones in the back end of this match and they could be about to get him back into it.
Amazing how that friend comes back.
Nicely
Sometimes
judged.
they're not there when you need them, but on occasion they'll be there just at the right time to pick you up.
Wow, so there you have it.
Three.
He's hanging in there. He missed the chance we expected him to take to win the frame earlier, and then he bounced back the next visit and made a very tough shot to get it done. So well done. Jun still leads 4-3, and is it Brent to break? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, John won the lag, so even numbered frames at Brent's. Was indeed, John. That again, the bank, the shot that he is usually good at, has missed a few of, but he's gone back to it. It's worked for him quite nicely in the latter stages of this game. And what's the bet that he's going to be trying it again if the shot suits? The bank manager, nice.
When I was playing with Brent was in the BCA League team that we actually went really well and took out the BCA Nationals up in Auckland last year. But
Oh yeah.
we all had teammate nicknames, and we actually were calling Brent Cappy Combo around the time. I know the bank is normally his go-to shot, but just around that point in time he was also comboing absolutely everything and never missing. So whether he's the bank manager or Cappy Combo, I think we can all agree that he's got some shots up his sleeve, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's amazing how you get known for shots, isn't it? Or a specific shot that you love to play, and then people associate you with that shot. Even though you've got so many other shots in your trick bag, you've got that one shot that people remember.
Oh, absolutely, it's something I love about the game, is that, you know, while we can all look at it and say, oh, you know, I do it this way or that way, that's the beauty of it, is that we've all got different shots we like, all got different strengths and weaknesses, and there's no one way to go about clearing a table. And at the end of the day, if the ball's going in the holes, then that's what counts.
Oh, nah, thought he might get a snooker there. That was not a million miles away from the pocket either.
His next shot might have been interesting if that had gone in though.
Yeah, that didn't look very nice at all, did it? Right up almost hard on 3 with maybe only that combination. Maybe the Cappy Combo shot would have come out.
I wonder if John will have a go here or play safe, you know, with the 3 right there, and you can judge a little draw quite nicely. You could hold.
He's going to thin the 2 and get...
Oh,
dirty
was he
jaw.
looking for the 8? I think he was trying to run off and pot the 8, was he?
That surprises me. I thought he would have tried to thin that 2 and look to hide in that minefield of balls at the other end of the table.
Yeah, I thought there was a couple of really good opportunities to play safe there actually, but he hasn't, and he's handed the initiative back to Brent. I'm not quite sure if this is the optimum angle to get back down there 4, but he should be able to drive through this with right hand side and go around the rails.
This is all killing, isn't it? Oh yes, look at this.
Well, don't run too far. It's very nice. It's just going to need another delicate positional shot to get on the 6.
You know how you're just watching them on stream and they just look like they're going to end up bang on. You just know, it's almost like the white ball has a light on it, and you're matching up where it's going to that area where you want it to land in, and it's going to end up being bang on. That was one of those.
Yeah, it's good. He just had a natural angle actually there where he could just drop in and hold for the 6. I thought it might have been a little bit straight for that, so that's worked out good.
Could have played a stone on a run through, chose the run through. Probably the better shot anyway for your queuing, I'd imagine.
I think he just wants to make sure that he's going to have an angle on the black again. You don't want to end up straight on that black, so I think by leaving a bit of angle on the 7, he's ensuring he can give himself a bit of angle on the black, which just makes it that much easier to get position on the 9.
Oh, hello. Playing it cack-handed. Seen some of that too, haven't we? Ah, Brent.
That's okay. Again, that's one where I think a lot of the guys are watching, knocking the knuckles on the table in frustration, but it's such a makeable shot on on these tables. I think you're better off just going, I'll just think
Stuff
9
like
anyway.
this,
Yeah. I think it's when you let the frustration, the position get here, that's when you miss the pot.
No issues at all, despite the fact that he wasn't where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So we are hill now, 4 apiece. We will get our full money's worth out of this.
Yours is a small.
It's always great when we see these as well, don't you? Love hill games.
The pressure for these two just ramps up, like what starts as a race to 5, you've been playing for an hour and then suddenly it all comes down to one frame. And
The score is much the same as it was, except it's a best of 1 a race to 1 rather than a race to 5.
Exactly, so anyone's game here, this break could be crucial, so yep, John taking the time to make sure the rack's tight and he'll be keen to get a ball and hopefully give himself a look at the 1.
This is where your break just comes into focus so much, doesn't it? You've got the break, you might be, it's a 4 each, but you've lost the last 2 frames, but you've got the break.
He's covered the 1 though.
Bam.
That white was drifting out towards the middle of the table until the 3 contacted it and it's just trapped behind the 2, so a little bit of a stroke of bad luck there for John, but
I don't know if the angle is there to go off the rail. He might, if he wants to do that, he'll have to play a half swerve shot, go off the rail. Whether he even decides to play a push. We haven't seen one yet, so there's a chance he could see a push here.
smart option. So I'll be interested to see whether Brent's going to try and manufacture a way to pot this, or whether he'll just take his medicine and look to try and kick the 1 and keep it tight.
So he's trying to play to Brent's strength here, isn't he? To say to him, I know you love this shot, have a go. Because if you miss it, right, you'll let me in.
Wow, he could actually see a lot more of that than I thought. Like, he quite easily potted that in hindsight.
I wonder how many people would, their eyes light up at this and they think of the 3-ball combination. He's even queuing it up like he's going to play it. Is it worth it? It almost looks like it's a straight shot. Just imagine the 8 and the 9 aren't there and it's a straight shot on the 1, right?
I guess if you just don't quite, fancy the pot on the 1, then I was thinking here's a chance to take the frame now, but I think here I'd be more inclined to back myself to pot the 1 in the corner and go for the run out. I'm not sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is very makeable. It is a pretty natural angle, so I think that definitely encourages him to take the combo on, that he's not having to change the line of the 1 too much. Here we go, massive shot, chance for the match.
Not on this occasion.
There's the 1 going.
But I think he's going to get away with a snooker here. Fortune favouring the brave. That's got to annoy the absolute hell out of you if you're Brent. He's just had a go. He's ended up nowhere near, but he's still ended up getting a snooker out of it, and now you've got to jump it.
For the many picky knockout shot.
But this is, again, as you were saying, it's another shot that Brent plays very well.
It's just the tricky thing with this jump here, if he's jumping it, is that because he's got to travel the white quite a distance to get over the 3, so that white is definitely going to be bouncing into the 1, so still just getting a decent contact on the 1 is the tricky thing here. Wants that to land as close to after the 3 as possible. Oh, he's actually gone
Oh,
the
he got the luck!
There we are, justice.
I'll tell you what, Brent has done really well. He's intentionally trying to fly the white far enough to land on the one. That was the only way he was going to control the cue ball like that. And he's done a sensational job.
Drop kicked it, didn't he?
Wow, it's almost just kind of landed, sort of flush on the two. It's a great way to control the cue ball, but it's very, very difficult to not just judge your line, but your distance control and a jump like that. So a little bit of luck, but well judged shot nonetheless.
It's a drop kick punt type shot, because if you hit it that flush, then it has a chance to do anything. If you don't quite hit it flush, then the momentum just goes, doesn't it?
Just really.
Oh, he's mucked it up.
Maybe he's taken there a little bit quick. I don't know. I just felt like that was the critical shot, really. To make this frame, you've made a good shot.
That was a shot that you had to.
So I think that's the one where you got to slow down, take the extra chalk, take an extra couple of looks, walk the long way around the table, and make sure of it. Because if you make that 3-5 combo there, that's pretty well frame over.
Yeah, that was the shot to take a little extra time over as well. There's no point playing that quickly, because A, crucial, B, not a gimme. So you absolutely need to recognise that and take the extra time, otherwise this sort of thing could happen to you. Look at the way these look.
So could be a little bit of an issue here if he looks like he's dead straight, and it's just always the risk when you're playing a direct draw is getting your distance control right. And we can see that the 8 could potentially be on the path of the natural line if he draws back off this 5. So you can see him looking at that now. He wanted some angle there, and he's made the shot just a lot trickier than it needs to be. So I'm wondering if he's trying to go through with side off 2 rails.
Oh, he's miscued it.
That.
Yeah, he was trying to play left instead of right. He wanted to run the angle around, but maybe he's stretching a little bit and got that contact all sorts of wrong. Brent will be licking his lips at this. It's like, you beauty.
Would it be poor commentary for me to say, come on, Brent, right now? That'd be poor biased commentary.
Professionally, I would say yes, but I'm not actually a professional, so you can do what you want.
I'm not going to say it. I think it's been implied.
Oh, no, he's not.
Get off the cush.
He's hit it well enough.
It's a little bit straight, is it?
It's just off angle by the look of it, so if he can dig down into this, he can get it through nicely.
Punch to the side rail and back out to the centre. Yeah.
Don't go behind the 8. Yeah, good boy.
Jeez, these guys, they're making this last frame stressful, mate. It's
the thrill seekers.
Clenching up a wee bit here.
Are you now? I'll be asking you about that in a shot's time.
No, you won't. One good shot here, Brent.
And it's not. Oh dear, and every roll that gets closer to the pocket is an easier shot for John.
Still, in the situation of the match when they've both just made a couple of pressure mistakes, this is suddenly looking a mile away. That's starting to look really long and really fine.
Yeah, it's like the closer you get to the finish line, the further away it seems to get. Drops it, just misses the jaw. Who did he point to after he made that shot?
Was he pointing at the pocket? Relax too soon, he's still going to get this one in the hole, especially after that last effort on the 5, you can't roll it out.
Good man, take your time. And put a good stroke on it like that. What a match that was. Both players had ample opportunities. Both players made ample opportunities.
Yeah, that's double everything. That's what it takes, guys.
3-1 winner.
See you tomorrow night. More matches, more fun.
Words from Waddy to finish us off, but the Filipinos lead 2 games to 1 with that 5-4 victory that Jun Carreon has just had over Brent.
Yeah, and so
Magnificent night of pole. I'll let you finish it off.
just before we wrap up, guys, thanks again for tuning in and listening to us tonight. It's something new that we're doing with the Paul Carnaby Room, just trying to continue to grow things up here. So thanks for your support, and don't forget we've got plenty more pool the next couple of nights. So it's 2-1 to the Filipino team so far, but 2 more nights to go. So tomorrow night we've got Scotch triples first, which is going to see Norman, Marvin and Darwin up against Greg, Ricky and myself. And then in the singles tomorrow night, we've got Ricky versus Chris and Greg versus Jameer. So plenty of pool tomorrow night. I guess we'll catch you then.
Oh, Ricky's he's one of the Kiwi boys, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got that horribly wrong.
No, he's not. Yeah, he is.
But I just want to echo that. Thank you very much for watching, taking your time out of your evening to watch this, or whichever time it is where you are. Thank you all the same, and we hope to catch you tomorrow evening for more of the same. Until then, it's good night.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks, John. Great commentary, good effort. We'll see you all tomorrow night, guys.
No, but I mean, June backed it up.
Oh, that's all.
Right, no, before the fight,